may want to turn your mics on.
Okay.
Okay, welcome everyone to the November 21st Town Board Work Session. Thank you all for being here, folks in the audience and folks over Zoom. Please join me in the, well, before I start that, exit to the front, exit through the building for anyone that's in here. And please join me on the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the first item is a public hearing for designation of no through commercial traffic on West Road. Anyone here want to comment? How about on Zoom? Anyone on Zoom?
Marianne Lansdale. Marianne, I'm asking you to unmute.
Okay, thank you so much for taking the time to hear me. I live on 29 West Road, and I'm glad that you're addressing the problem of the traffic on our road. And also want to know if, I think this commercial no through traffic's a great idea. Also want to know if you're also thinking of reinstating our humps, which really cut down on the volume of cars that cut through at high speeds on our road.
Thank you, Marianne. Not being considered currently, but we can certainly, if you email us, we can certainly look at it.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you, Marianne.
public hearing, yeah. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, just since Rip's here, with the humps that we have, I think 2 in town. We can do them. It's just, there's nothing preventing us from doing them, but there's the issue as far as maintaining them.
With the humps,
Yeah,
you really don't want to get them over those.
yeah.
Not again, most of your towns are doing the portable ones and that's causing a problem. The ice and everything on them, that causes a problem going over and on. Most towns are not. The owners got some. They're about the only ones that are in the parking lots and our speed limit is 25 miles an hour.
Right.
You know, but I want to address that, but I also want to address when you're speaking of West Road, keep in mind, and you can do whatever you want, but the 123 side of West Road has to get permission from the state to post it.
Right.
Because that's their road in the front. They control intersections from our road onto this road. I mean, they'll give it to you, but you got to write them and get the permission. And then if you want it on the other end to get it the whole way, I would contact Pound Ridge, so you don't have to, because Pound Ridge owns a section of that. Or you're going to start it, you know, down by Upland Court, Cedar Drive.
We have
So you can do whatever you want.
And just so everyone knows, that's Peter Rippinger. I was
Oh, I'm sorry,
going to be speaking, and maybe you go up there, but if there's more, you should go up to the mic.
Oh, yeah, just quickly, I know we have a long agenda, so what's considered state of the art right now as far as any kind of slowing device on roadways? Is there anything that's used at all that's effective
Peter, why don't you go up to the mic?
Yeah.
So, because I'm not sure if people can hear you.
on a going forward basis, like for tools in the toolbox?
Well, some towns are using, if you go through Bedford or Bedford Hills, you'll see those speed bumps. That they
The
put up.
tables, like the speed
Yeah,
tables.
and that's what they
Yeah.
use. They're trying it out, of course, in the area in Bedford Village, there's a lot of traffic. And it's a commercial area, it's working out very well. They're very expensive.
In Cherry Street.
I'm sorry?
They did,
Cherry Street.
Cherry Street.
Yes, and I don't know if the Bedfords are portable or not. If they put portables in there, then we're going to take them out for the winter. That was their thought and plan on that. But the permanent ones that they got in the village is up very nice. Just keep in mind, they are extremely expensive. If you decide to do them, and the benefit you can check with Katona, what they're getting up. They're getting good benefit at Cherry Street. But then what happens is a lot of people revert and go another road to get in and out, and it just impacts another road down.
I think the portable ones, the point was that they could move them around and test out
Yeah,
places.
they take them up in the winter a lot, but if you go to the Meadows, which is private, they do that. The Meadows puts them down every year, then they take them out every winter,
In the winter.
you know. Then they put them in different places. Yes, it worked for a couple of years for them, and then people get pretty well to understand where they don't go on. And if you start, you end up putting speed humps on every road, which just doesn't really kind of pan out. It really doesn't.
Guard Hill Road has had them for years.
Pardon?
Never go the back way. Guard Hill Road has had them for years in a small stretch there.
Anyone else? Public hearing for the designation of no through commercial traffic on West Road. Okay. In that case, I'd like to motion that we close the public hearing. Second,
Second.
discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to, well, we have to do the roll call, right?
Make your motion
Motion is
first.
that, yeah, to move forward with designating a no through traffic, commercial traffic and installing a sign on West Road.
And it's local law 6.
Motion, so it's motion to adopt local law 6.
Law number 6. Okay.
How many signs on West Road are we voting?
It's one sign,
Just one,
correct,
going in one direction.
correct. The other direction is the Pound Ridge side, is that
Pound
correct?
Ridge, but yeah,
They're
but
gonna
you're
be-
gonna put it on your short end side, it doesn't make sense. Pound Ridge-
They're the ones that requested that we
Yeah,
pursue this,
so
so
it'll
they're,
be Pound Ridge, and then the state will give you permission, there's no problem.
okay,
They control them all.
right. Okay, do I, have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Andrea?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
I'm an aye.
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 Thank you. Communications, I have just a couple of things here. First, this is the let's see. This is a memo from the planning board addressed to the supervisor regarding the application of Smith Ridge Associates, 920 Oak Ridge Commons, Villas of Vista. The supervisor Gonzalez and members of the town board. The planning board has received a formal application from Smith Ridge Associates, owner of Oak Ridge Commons, seeking site development plan approval and a wetland permit for proposed modifications to these premises. In sum, the application proposes the conversion of existing commercial space into 8 new dwelling units and the construction of 6 new townhouses on the Oak Ridge Common site. A prior application, which was granted by the planning board, authorizes the conversion of commercial space within Oak Ridge Commons into 4 new dwelling units. Period. Consequently, the application now before the planning board, coupled with this prior approval, entails 18 new dwellings comprised of 2 two-bedroom units and 16 three-bedroom units. These residential units are located within and are proposed to be serviced by the Oak Ridge Water District. The planning board will, as it must, evaluate this application under the town code and SECRA. As it undertakes this review process, a threshold question is presented. Namely, will the Oak Ridge Water District extend service connections to these new residential units? The question likewise applies to potential connections to Oak Ridge Sewer District wastewater services. If an impediment to these service connections exists, the planning board and the applicant may in fact be embarking upon an empty exercise. Accordingly, the planning board has authorized me as its chair to submit this letter to the town board, which is responsible for management, maintenance, operation, and repair of Oak Ridge Water District and Oak Ridge Sewer District facilities. Specifically, I have been authorized to solicit the town board's position as to whether service connections for these units will be provided by the Oak Ridge Water and Sewer Districts. In making this inquiry, the planning board is mindful of the November 10, 2022 memorandum prepared by Joseph M. Tremelli, PE CFM of Keller Sessions, which addresses the capacity of the Oak Ridge Water District treatment plant. Moreover, the planning board has received written comments from town residents expressing concerns as to the impact of the proposed residential units upon both water capacity and the quality of water supplied by the Oak Ridge Water District to its consumers. Again, the planning board seeks a response from the town board to facilitate its review of this application and avoid a commitment of resources toward a project that, absent these service connections, will not go forward. On behalf of the planning board, I thank the town board for its consideration of this request. Respectfully submitted, Jen Anderson, Chair.
So it references in the body of that letter, November 10th. Communication from the from Kellogg Sessions.
Correct.
So it's referencing that in the body. Where are we at as far as the Kellogg Sessions? Have they rendered their full?
They did. That was presented at the planning board meeting last week.
It was at the planning board meeting.
Correct.
Okay, so what can you?
And it was distributed to the town board as well.
Okay, well, maybe we should let the public know what that says because it ties right into this. So
Sure, I can have that posted on the town website,
Maybe
on the Oak Ridge page.
can we?
summary paragraph from that. Is there- I have it right
Do
here.
you want to read it?
Sure.
Go ahead, yeah.
Just upon review of the above, so there's the whole analysis above, and obviously that's something you want to look at separately, but anyway, their conclusion is upon review of the above. It is the opinion of this office that there is adequate capacity in the water treatment facility to serve the project as proposed. We would recommend the continuing monitoring of water usage within the district, and if needed, consider water restrictions during the summer months for irrigation use when water demands are at their peak. In addition, the town may wish to consider additional metering, both at the discharge of the plant and at various locations throughout the distribution system to isolate and better understand the water usage for the multiple components of development, i.e. townhomes, condominiums, single-family residences, commercial/retail uses, and irrigation. This would not only provide a better accounting of water usage, but would also offer a means to monitor the overall system and or leakage or areas of excessive use.
Do they? I didn't have a chance to read through the whole November 10th. Did they ever quantify? They ever put numbers on that Kellogg Sessions in their report?
They did.
Yeah, obviously that was just a conclusion.
No, I know. I know.
Yeah. But I mean, clearly, I think the key here is that they're hedging a little bit, saying that, you know, if you get a peak in the summer, then, you know, consider some kind of restrictions. So that is, you know, consistent with the issue that they had during the drought, I guess, and the conflict with increased irrigation at that time.
I'm just, yeah, it's difficult for me to reconcile the two between we have talking about adequate capacity, yet based upon the drought last summer, there were days that exceeded the capacity. So it's
Again,
difficult
that
to
was
reconcile.
because of the faulty meter. But I think this is a topic of
Yeah.
discussion for a
Well,
future meeting, not for here. So we're just-
Well, yeah, right. Okay, well, okay, so we're gonna have to take that up because the planning board is asking us first for an opinion referable to extending service connections. So we're
Right.
gonna have to address that in
Right.
detail.
So related to that, I did receive an email from a resident / owner over at Oak Ridge, where he says, this is from Joe Marco Lazy. He said, excellent decision to hire Keller to evaluate water usage and also review wastewater flow with regard to the DEC Speedies permit. Phil shouldn't play professional engineer without a license. Happy Thanksgiving and beat Dallas. So that's that. Another communication, this is a long one, but I'll just highlight some of the points. This is an email that was sent by a resident. Just to thank us for the experience they had with our town employees. They live at 38 Gilbert Street in South Salem. They just recently purchased their home in May of 2020 and recently completed an extensive renovation. They wanted to write and express their thanks and appreciation for several members of the town's administrative and professional staff who were consistently professional, friendly, and most helpful as we worked our way through the initial application for a building permit and wetlands permit. Our first point of contact was building inspector Joe Angelo, was very helpful and up until his relatively recent departure from the building department. And then they go on to mention that Kirsten put them in touch with Jan Johannesson at Kellett Sessions. And Jan was very helpful in spelling out the requirements for submitting a wetlands permit application. They applied for the permit and building permit, wetlands permit September 2020, following a virtual hearing with the planning board, which Kirsten was also very helpful in explaining, facilitating. We obtained both permits in October 2020. The members of the planning board were terrific, as well as thoughtful in their questions about the project. Just fast forward here. It was such a pleasure to get to know Kirsten and Jan, as well as Joe. We also got to know Kara Sullivan and Jeff Farrell, both at the building department, who were also both terrific, most professional, responsive, and helpful during what we all know has been an extraordinarily busy time in the last few years at the building department. They also got to know Jan's Kellett Session colleagues, Danielle Seguina and Steve Signano, who were equally helpful and a pleasure to work with. We had a brief meeting at our house with Highway Superintendent Peter Rippinger, who's here, just over a year ago, because Jan wanted us to confirm the location of some steps we were rebuilding near the street, and that too was a very positive experience. They mentioned having trees taken down as part of the project. Tree surgeons and a landscape architect all recommended taking them down as they were old, and all three in striking distance to the house. Because there was one, actually a 3-trunk tree near the street, they checked with Chief David Alfano to see if there were any safety steps we needed to take according to the town. He was also super pleasant and helpful, offering both the fire department and to let the fire department and the school know that there might be brief delays by our house the day the tree by the street came down. We left Sasset, look forward to being residents for years to come. This is from Danielle and Devin McEachran. And as a follow-up, they also wanted me to share that they would like to compliment Deirdre Casper, our receiver of taxes. They've communicated with her. And she too has always been very thoroughly professional, helpful, and friendly. So thanks to the town staff for supporting the McEachrans in their work and seeing them through the process. This was also a compliment to Cross River Pharmacy, some work they were doing. This is Elaine Feldman emailed this to Kirsten over at Planning. And she said, it's a pleasure to work with such wonderful, supportive people. I really appreciate all that you do. So great to get these emails from folks who appreciate the work that our town employees do. So thank you, town employees. So that's all I have for communications. And let's see, next is the consent agenda. Motion to approve the minutes of November 7th, 2022.
So moved.
For a second.
I have a change.
You have a change?
Yes, page
Okay.
6. 1, 2, third paragraph down. It reads, Councilwoman Rendo stated that she disagrees with the allocation of funds and would like to see more money for infrastructure. If we could just add a clarification that she disagrees with how funds were allocated in the bill and would have liked to see more money for infrastructure. That was it.
Okay. So motion to approve with the recommended changes by Andrea.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, before we jump into the actual budget work session, there's one more item, which is a timely topic. That's why it's on here. And this is the resolution accepting the interim MS4 and authorizing supervisor to sign. So the MS4 stands for Small Municipal Separate Stormwater Sewer Systems. And just to summarize, the interim report is required for the town's MS4 continued compliance with the United States EPA Stormwater Phase 2 regulations administered by the DEC. At a minimum, MS4s are required to prepare and file an annual report each year by June 1st. Because Lewisboro is also within the New York City watershed, the interim report is required to be filed every 6 months, June 1st and December 1st. There's no public hearing required for the interim report. It's simply on the agenda for the board's authorization for us to file, us meaning Kellett Sessions, they're filing this on our behalf. It is a biannual checkup on the status of the town's continued progress toward meeting the stormwater goals, which are outlined in more detail in the annual report, which is filed every June 1st. So I'd like to motion that we accept the interim MS4 report and authorize the supervisor. I guess someone else needs to motion.
We can move that we accept the MS4 report as presented and authorize the supervisor to sign off on it.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Right?
Aye.
Do I abstain? Is it signing? No? Okay, so I. Okay. So with that, we'll jump right to the budget. I'm gonna share my screen so folks at home and the folks here can see the preliminary budget worksheet. Okay. I think what we'll do is I'm just gonna highlight some of the major changes that everyone on the board received a copy of the tentative budget. And there's been, yes.
Bigger?
Oh, sorry, yeah. Yeah.
And everybody at home can see it, too.
Well, they're seeing it on Zoom, so share on Zoom, but yeah, I'll,
It might help
yeah.
people with mature eyes.
Okay.
Thank
There
you.
you go. Let me get rid of this screen. Is that focused enough for you? Can you guys see it okay, or do you need to focus?
Oh, that
can't
helps.
see.
Thank you, Sean.
So I think
That's an item for the budget.
Yeah.
Screens, that's right.
So I think what I'll do, so just to highlight some of the changes, the major changes, we had 3 additional employees who are signing up for medical benefits. So there is a net increase when you consider the former buyout that they had of $81,495,000 for next year. There was a decrease in shared services of $12,000. There was a decrease in the police budget of $35,000 related to overtime of part-time police. There was a decrease.
Decrease from what to what? What are you,
Yeah, so I'll review that, but let me
you talking about from the initial to
from the
tentative?
tentative. So we're going from the tentative to the preliminary.
So you, in other words, you are, this is what you're suggesting to take the tentative to the preliminary.
Yeah, so I'm gonna just finish off this list and then we can go back and drill down. There's a decrease in the library budget of 5.7K. So they went from a 10% increase to 8.75% increase. There's a decrease in road repair from highway. There was a decrease in road repair of 20K. There was an increase of 70K for Parks and Rec revenue. And there's also a line item for an additional 5K for grants administration in the supervisor's office. So I'm going to go ahead and there was a 5K reduction in building inspector, and that was based on the salary for the new building inspector that we're in the process of hiring.
So this is from the tentative, and then you're outlining the recommendations you want to make now, is what you're saying.
These are changes that after speaking to the departments that I highlighted in the adjustments column that'll apply to the preliminary budget. Right?
But they're not in the document we have.
No, they're here. Right, they're not in the tentative.
Right.
Right, you will get a copy of the tentative because that's what will be,
Yeah, have the tentative, I have it right here.
I mean, a copy of the preliminary,
So
sorry.
this is
You'll
just
have
an
a-
executive summary of what to look out for.
Additional changes, and you'll see that on the, yeah. So I think
Wait, did you send that to us today and I missed it?
No, that's why I'm surprised.
We haven't gotten it yet.
No. So so I'll review it up here. So I think what we'll start with, since we have Cindy and Kevin?
Yes.
Kevin, that's right. From the library, we can start with that discussion. So If I-
So where are we gonna start with? So we're gonna start the library point. Right?
yeah, so I'm gonna go to the library, the general fund, and you can see the change that was.
That's kind of hard to follow. I can't see it there and I don't have anything else to look at it on, so.
You can't see it there?
No,
No.
All right, I'll make it. Hold on. Let me increase the,
Could you just give
how's
us,
that?
give
Can
the,
you see that now?
give them the page
Yeah.
number?
So it's line item, I don't know, page number here, it's, if you scroll down to A7410. That's not exactly, so. It's towards the end.
Yeah, nothing.
You see it up there, Rich?
In between
Can you see that screen?
transportation and historian.
See library?
See library.
Okay. So that's what we're talking about now, right? So if I scroll over, so what I did was the adjustments column for the preliminary budget, the second adjustments column, that's where I deducted the decrease that was presented to me by Cindy. So that brings the,
So you reduced the ask by,
From 10% to 8.25.
here's the email. So basically, right, it went from a 10% increase to an 8.75% increase.
Which is 5,699 less.
Correct.
So
and
you went from 10% to 8.75?
8.75.
so the number is, which would be what?
So look at the last column. I mean, it's the preliminary budget column. That's the column we should be looking.
No,
at.
I
It's-
understand. I can't see that. It's the glare is tough to see in the size. I can't see it. So what's the
Should we,
number?
Can we, yeah, what is the
Let's turn off the
number?
light over there. Sean, can we turn off the?
5699 is the,
Or this slide here,
$5,699
that's
less
the adjustment.
yeah,
than what they were asking.
Right, so the number, what's
Maybe
the,
this one.
so the number is from the 501, 505 requested is to going down by to what?
To 495,806.
Okay. And you're, that came based upon what? What, you taking that from a subcategory of the request or?
It was I discussed it with Cindy to see what adjustments can be made.
Oh, okay, so this is just after speaking with Cindy in agreement as far as the modification.
Correct.
Okay, I
Consulted with
wasn't,
the library board, yeah.
I'm sorry?
Consulted with the library board.
Okay.
Okay, so that's one of the changes. Any questions for Cindy and Kevin while they're here?
Yeah, I had sent the communication as far as maybe talking to the board of trustees, whether it be an opportunity to maybe shift one day during the week. And you said that was possible, I think was your response, because I mean, we have it, my point is very simply is that based upon the hours that are currently set for the library, you're hitting the same target audience, as it were. So people who can come from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. are the people who can come from that time. There's not any day during the week, say, for example, where it opens later and closes later. So people who work full-time, which is overwhelming majority of, well, not a lot of people in our town that commute and whatever else, don't have an opportunity during the course of the week to utilize the library because they're not home by 6 o'clock.
Yes, I will be discussing it with the library board and we will consider in 2023. I am reluctant to just shift the hours because the library is very well used in the morning hours and often there are story hours in the morning. So what we would do is possibly extend the hours one day a week, which is what we used to do. We used to be open till 9 p.m. on
Right.
Tuesday. Not that heavily used, but there were people that would come every Tuesday. We used to also be open on Sunday. That's a very expensive day for us to reopen because in the library area in Westchester County, the staff is paid time and a half on that day. So it's a hit to the budget. However, we're going to definitely discuss it in 2023 and consider we'll take that under advisement. And we won't be meeting till December and, we need time. We also need to see how we're going to do it by the end of the year as well. Where we end up with our net profit or net loss for the year. And hopefully we'll have the money to maybe be open till maybe 8 p.m. one night.
But there's no prohibition. Let's say one day during the week, the Board of Trustees said, okay, instead of being open 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., we're going to open from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. There's nothing prohibiting doing that.
Oh, certainly not.
Okay, I'm just,
We discussed
yeah.
it with the board, and I'm
Okay.
going to put some numbers together. But in principle, I'm against doing that because the library is pretty mostly heavily used during the mornings. And there are story hours during the mornings.
Right.
So I'm not saying I'm not going to do that or consider it, but my general sense is it works better just to keep the same hours and just open an extra couple of hours one evening. But I'm not saying no for sure, just we're going to consider it. We'll probably take it up early in 2023.
Regardless of keeping it open an extra couple hours is going to cost more money, right?
Of course,
All right.
yes.
And could you
Yeah.
just explain to us what part of the increase in the budget the $5,699 came from? Was it spread across? Was it just?
Well, two areas in the income. One is we have been getting a lot more fine money this year. And based on, of course, you can never completely predict about that. But based on that, I increased the income line in our budget. And also, we pretty much had zero in our interest and our operating fund accounts. You know why? Because the savings account wasn't paying anything. But we've had some opportunities to put some money finally because of what's going on, in the world of finance, that we'll be able to at least make a few $100 from our savings account and then a CD. We're moving money around a little bit, so that will help with that. Regardless of that, we will still have a 22%. Yeah, $22,000 net loss in the 2023 budget, which is a lot less than what we had in the past.
Yes.
But you said 2023, that means
Yeah.
for next year.
Yes.
Okay. Right.
Yes.
So
So we agreed to budget lines. And we're accepting that again, where the budget will not be balanced.
right. But so the answer to my question, there was nothing that you were looking to spend more money on that we cut. There were still the expenditures that you're hoping by increasing the budget aren't being cut back. It's just a reallocation of income into different areas so that we're estimating that the library is going to take in more, right? Based on fines and things like that.
Definitely.
And that's- Okay.
Which is realistic.
Got
I'm not able to make any changes in the expenses at this time. We're we just got the notice that night shift, the health insurance, which the town also has, is going to be having their webinar on November 29th and December 1st, which will tell us what the health insurance increase will be. And we hope it will not match the 11.63 increase it was last year. So that's an area we're hoping it will go down. And our utilities costs have just been skyrocketing. And also we've had a lot of costs for the building now as well, especially with the HVAC system. So as time goes by, I hope we'll have more information for sure about who and what, which of our vendors will be increasing their charges.
Is the library signed up for community solar?
No, and actually, I just went on the night shift site recently to look at that, and I couldn't change it on.
The community solar.
Yeah.
That's a sustainable.
Constellation?
Yeah.
Yeah, Constellation.
Yeah.
I went on the night shift website to try.
No, it's not a nice, it would be sustainable Westchester.
Right, but don't you have to change it from the night shift website?
Oh, you mean ISEC?
NICEAG.
No, no,
Yes, sorry.
no, you won't find it on the next.
Okay, I thought you had to choose your ESCO from your NICEAG account.
Let's talk,
I
this
did
is separate
put
from
in-
that.
Yeah, I did put in a request for somebody to contact me through the NICEAG
Yeah, that,
website and nobody did.
yeah.
Big jump.
Okay,
So
we'll,
far.
we'll talk. The community solar is separate from the 96, and you can get a discount on your bill, and I think the
Yeah.
library is eligible for it.
Okay, because we are
So-
commercial and not residential. And I was looking into it and was hoping somebody was gonna
Right.
contact me.
Okay.
That was just a few weeks ago.
All right.
I definitely want to do that with the way prices are going.
Any other questions for Cindy? Okay, thank you very much, Cindy.
All right.
Thanks, Kevin. So that was the one change, and just before I go any further, so we had, when we worked on came up with the tentative budget, we were at a 6.55% tax rate, right, which is still over the 2.66 tax cap. Now with this one, with these other changes, we're down to, it's a 5.49 tax rate increase. So we came down by a little over 1% with the latest changes. Okay, so that was the library. Let's move on to highways since Peter Rippinger is here. So I'll highlight and I'll put it up on the screen. So the highway fund, just increase the resolution here. Zoom in. I'm going to go down to the adjustments that were made. So we had, in the tentative, we had decreased the road repair and maintenance by $310,000. And then after speaking to Peter Rippinger, we were able to reduce that by another 20,000. So that's this second adjustment here. Okay, which then puts us at $80,000 as opposed to the original requested 410,000. So we're back to the same number that we had in the adopted budget of 2022.
All right, what numbers are we looking at on this?
I'm sorry.
I can't keep going, sorry, Tony, this is not your fault, it's my eyes. I can't keep going from there to here, and so I want to know where I'm looking here
Oh,
when
it's-
you're
it's-
talking
Here,
about.
I'll tell you, because I'm looking on that document here, and it's page. There are no page numbers.
There's no page number, but if you look at the left, it's D something.
It's very close.
It's the 5112.
12. Seasonal.
D 5110 is the maintenance of roads.
So just to be, make sure the
Oh, I found
discussion
it.
is complete.
What page is that on? Hold on a second there. That's the.
No
It's
page
this-
numbers.
There are no
No
page
page
numbers. It's
Second
the
to last.
second to last
second to
page.
last.
Thank you.
This is a big move, so this number represents mostly kind of the patching and
Peter, why don't you come up to the,
and
What was removed or what was it for?
yeah.
Yeah, well,
Significant change on.
we asked for an increase.
so part of it, if I could just interrupt, so just to, the 310,000 that I took out originally after this talking to Peter for the center budget are the culverts,
Oh,
right? The two
That's the
culverts.
culvert, not
So what I'd like to do, I believe there's grant money out there for that. So that's what I want to do is pursue grant funding for this. That's what I took
well,
out.
that's important for people to know.
Yeah.
And we're back to what we had the last year.
Right. And then Peter agreed after we sat down again to review this, we agreed on another 20,000, right?
Now I understand.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Thank
I know,
you.
I would have been.
And my next thing I'm gonna say, Peter, is I'm say it every year and on your behalf or on behalf of the roads, and that is like, okay, we have 180,000 in paving, 170 chips, it adds up to $350,000. What's the average price per mile these days? A
Well,
mile,
last year alone was over $140,000.
140,000.
You're gonna get, if you're lucky to get 2.5 miles. of road.
Okay,
It'd be along.
And
the
what
6
is-
mile,
what
5
is-
mile run.
what do we use for the lifetime of a road?
Well, your lifetime of a road is anywhere from 12 to 14 years. You know, whatever you want to go on that, before you'd have to do anything.
Okay, so
Like
12 to
Chapel Road
14. We have, just call it 90 miles of roads.
93,
90.
96, not
I say, that includes the dirt roads, right? Whatever, anyway, I'm doing back of the envelope here. So even call it 15 years lifetime into 90 is 6, right?
Should be
So we should be doing at least 6 miles a year. So, and on this basis, we'd only be doing not even 3. And we've been doing this pretty much for a number of years now, for quite some time. So we, in theory, and you can tell me if I'm wrong versus, our experience with the roads is that we're falling behind on this. Right? I just want
Falling behind
State record,
on,
well,
just to be clear, falling behind on getting
to
roads
get
repaired.
okay,
you can't keep up. I mean, this year we were fortunate to get a little bit more from the state. So we were able to bang out, 4.5 miles, which was really nice, but with the amount of miles in town, it's hard.
Yeah.
Okay, the state would recommend anywhere from 6 to 7 miles, predicated on what we have on our route.
Right.
Okay,
and go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so Peter, when you and I we went driving around to look
Yeah.
at the newly paved roads and some of the work that your guys are doing. You said that the roads in general, the town roads are in decent shape overall.
the sections that have been done, I mean, if you took your 96 miles of road, you said 45 miles, it's not good, you're moving up, yes, but what has happened is a lot of the dead end roads have fallen off. Because we take major thoroughfares on the break-in some. This year, we spent, we got Lockwood Road done, and the side roads off that.
Right.
Very nice. Next year, we have other plans, depending on the money. We'd like to hit a different part of town each year, unless Mother Nature tells us different.
Right.
And if Mother Nature for winter breaks up a road, then it's all over. You gotta
Right.
take that out first. Ideally, yeah, I mean, at one time when we pulled the bond, did 15 miles of road, that was many years ago.
Well,
And that's what you want.
let's not.
No, I'm just saying,
Bond is another.
if you want to keep up with it, then you would have to go. You would need some time or something. But you have a good basis in some of your main, it's a side road that are really.
And of course, some good number of years ago now, we did that Cornell Road study. We had their intern, they came another time after that, right? So
Yeah.
we did the first study, and then the second time they come around and they assess the roads and they help update, But in order to have that study have any value, you have to kind of follow their scheme where, some of your roads, you're doing the micro coats and, so you're eventually, by following that, you're bringing your total cost of maintenance down. But if you drop off it, then you're not going to work it down. Now, with the roads having deteriorated more, they don't get cheaper to pave, they get more expensive to pave on top of that. So that's, there's kind of a hidden cost in here in my book. And that 3, call it, well, if it's another 3 miles at 140,000, that's 420 some. Yeah, that's $100 a household. If there's 4,000 households, right? It's $100 to bring that back. It's not. It looks bad on the percentages, but it's $100 per household to.
Yeah, the other thing that happened this year, and people have to know about, because the fuel and the energy and the oil, even though we go out for bid, we increased $46,000 costs.
Right.
We had to take out of our road budget. We had to cut back $46,000 worth of work because of the escalation clauses.
Right.
And who knows where the oil is going to go in the future. Oil, your crude is, as we know, it's got problems.
Yeah.
And the more that gets, the more you have a problem with that. And certainly we try to do oil and stone, but everything is oil related.
Right. Almost argues for trying to book ahead of time if these things are coming.
Well, we had a couple of weeks ago, we had a class up there Cornell School of Roads, just our school to give a class on winter maintenance and stuff like
You
that.
used our court.
Yeah, and they thank you very much. They were very appreciative of that. And they were just saying how the difficulty was this year because of all that, you know,
Right.
and hopefully the money the state gave out with them. It's only so much.
When it was, you mentioned when it was bonded a while back, right, for some, what was the cost of the bond and how many miles did that get?
We don't know the cost of the bonds.
Or when we did the
You
You
mean
mean cost as in
the
the total
amounts?
amount?
The amount of the bond?
The amount is about, you just mentioned before that it was years, it was about 6 miles, it took care of 6 miles, so it's just.
Close to $1 million they did at a time, but you gotta realize that's 15 years.
Right.
Years.
And,
A little cheaper than a soap the bond rate.
A lot cheaper.
and that was done because of the same thing, we fell behind for years.
And that's what
And
you
then
know,
it's like, oh, we gotta take care of this. Then what happens is you really lose track of what it really costs to maintain your roads, because it kind of disappears off in bond land. Instead of like, oh, we have $600,000 per year, that's what it costs us to maintain the roads, you know? So I'm definitely not a fan of like letting it go and then bonding for $5 million.
So
you know?
so is your point in that the 310 that was taken out should be in the budget?
No, I mean, that's a different part of the
That's
budget.
for culverts.
Just culverts
Just-
exclusively,
Just
okay.
below it, it's, my point is that the road
It's the
resurfacing
line
and payment and paving ought to get a boost by, at least, we can start by 300,000.
it's a line that should be increased every year, but. I'm bringing it up, I know Peter done 50,000 a year, brought it up, the cost of blacktop's got so much down.
This is one of these things that we
You're not
cut
gonna-
back when the financial crisis hit and
Yes,
and then we were hit with this tax cap. So we were basically frozen in place at a place which was
you're not alone,
under
because
our-
other town college, we're all on the same programs, you know, some of that might have had a little bit more money in the reserves. and
Oh,
stuff.
they
all got
definitely
paid.
did. Yeah. We were at zero in reserves. We know what it took for us to get back to reserves. So, yeah, I'm in favor of boosting that line.
Is there an opportunity conceptually for funding for town roads,
Well,
like county, state, federal?
one of the things I want to explore is the federal infrastructure money. And to see if there's anything there. I haven't had time to research it yet, but with the Build Back Better bill, I'd like to explore that and see if there is any monies there for paving.
Have you, do you know any towns that have gotten into that at this point, or if they're too young?
Not yet. I think it's too young. Yeah, yeah. But I can bring that up at the next supervisors meeting. I'll
Be
we'll
interested to see
certainly
if
bring that up.
the
Yeah,
towns with their grants.
yeah.
Peter, in addition to what Dan has indicated, in your opinion, why do you think we've fallen so far behind in our road paving, but also with the road maintenance? And is it because we haven't funded it? Is it because of the problems that Dan outlined with tax cap and all of that? And what?
Well, your normal road rate, you got $80,000 a year to fix, you know, potholes, Band-Aids and do that. That's, you rely on that. Like we talked about getting a hot box, so we do the bigger holes and down throughout the winter. And that would help us a lot. When we get through the winter and maybe help the roads that much more. But as far as maintenance of roads and doing it, they're doing what they can with what they have. They're doing, I think, a hell of a job doing it. You know?
Right.
And the dirt roads take a lot of time and effort too.
And I think that hot box, Peter and I spoke about it. Basically, it
What's
gives
the
you.
city use?
Yeah, it gives you the ability to
Do
do
your own
repairs with heated blacktop.
Well, this year,
Winners.
these guys went out and what we call smear roads, you know, they did over 4.5 miles smearing roads and side road on their own with our machines.
Mhm.
Now, that's a great Band-Aid because it takes the riprap out of it and the cracks and stuff and you get more longevity out of it.
Right.
That's what you gotta do. You gotta try to get what you can with the dollar you got. It's not ideal, but you do it.
The other point, and I brought this up before with you, which is like, we're in 2022 now. And we have many generations of repaving on some of our roads where now, as a consequence, in some places, you get a drop off to the side of the road
Yeah,
of, 12 inches, and which becomes a pedestrian and bicycle nightmare at least, and even not a great thing for cars if they kind of, it's dark and they hit the edge of the road. And we really have to start just just the physics of it, we have to start milling. In order to-
That's expensive, just as expensive as blacktop, and then you double, you gotta cut it down and put it back up again.
It was a problem for my driveway. Remember the lake in my driveway?
That's the
We
thing.
had to, the three homeowners had to build the driveway back up by 2 feet.
You're
because the
exactly
road was
right.
going up.
And so there's hidden costs
Yep.
in not doing that. You think, okay, we can't avoid that we can't spend that money now, but you end up spending it when somebody comes to you and say, you just rerouted all the water into my house or whatever, so. I think we need to know those costs and we need to start thinking about a plan for that.
You will see on any of the roads like we did this year in the past, when it's done, they'll come back and they'll make a ramp, they'll come down the driveway. That's what we do, we don't leave a person with a total.
No, I
You're
understand.
talking about the side
But-
of the
but
road
there's-
coming down with bikes, yes.
But there's
That's what-
there's a lot of things that you do address, but then there's things where
Certainly.
where there was a traditional flow of water across into a certain area. Now the road's higher, now it's flowing somewhere else and it's pooling and the
So we're getting back.
winter time it comes up and that pool freezes and, I've seen
Yeah,
a whole lot of it.
Also, when it's raised on the side of the road on the shoulder, it's keeping the water in that area. It's keeping the water towards the wood side, not coming out on the road, which is also a benefit for most parts. And if you'll notice this year, every year we do at least 3 or 4 projects, we take out main water use that comes across the road. We're just doing it over here behind Lewisboro School. This year alone, they did over 300, well, actually 400 feet of drainage to get out some of this water you may not be talking about, but it's caused a lot of ice problems in town. And every year we do that. What's happened is the infrastructure in this town, the old galvanized pipe is done. We have 30, 40 years on this pipe. So every time we go in to do bases, as you see across the base stuff, we rip out the line. I mean, you just gotta keep on doing that. You gotta build it back up with the plastic line.
So if you're gonna do a mile of road, you said, this is getting bad, we need to mill it. What is the total cost?
Well, if the road's 140, you're looking at another, $70,000 almost just to reclaim it.
So that
Because
maybe,
you got a lot of it to do. You're gonna be in the company, but they gotta end. The thing is, you can reclaim, you just can't go down. Let's say if you wanted to Weed Street. That'd be almost impossible because of the rocks that are underneath that. But the roads you're talking about around here, they're like that. They can mill it, put it back in and add to it. But it's the milling cost that costs you in time. They did 121, the state did about 10 years ago. Not cost prohibitive, but it takes a lot, and you gotta realize that machine is generating heat coming down through that road, all the wires and stuff, so it can be done. Just gotta selectively, usually, it's your main roads, the ones that get the biggest traffic on.
and the final product, in my mind, I may be completely off base here, but I'm thinking that the road after it's done maybe has a shot at a little bit longer lifetime because you've gone down into the problems and kind of reset the base point there a little bit.
Well, you realize most every road in the town of Lewisboro was built on a dirt bank. Half of them were, not to be disrespectful, but they were cow pastures, it was a wagon train. So the underneath were never brought up to standards. They blacktopped them and did it and put in drainage. So yes, it should get done, because your infrastructure, and your underneath is what causes it to come. With the new products now, it's working. Every road we do, we tack now. Tack them down. It all comes. And the new, I tell you, the new asphalt, 12.5, the polyurethanes. About that.
Quick question, who paid for the Cornell study? It was,
Taxpayers' money.
okay,
When they
and
were.
how often
Not
is
that
it?
often. They may do it again. I was speaking to Jeff Scott, the head engineer, he was up here doing the course. It's
Hmm,
gonna rely on a lot of, the internship. Kids that want to go, kids are coming out of college, it's hard to find it. That are
Oh, I
looking to
see.
do it. When they
Okay.
do find them, if they were like coming to Lewisboro, they gotta fend for themselves, get an apartment, live, a car and all that. So it's a program that works hard. He did it for us twice. The first one was great, the second one wasn't, the first one wasn't as well educated as the other one, but he's gonna call me this spring and see what they're gonna do.
I was
And we
just
can
wondering,
discuss it then.
how long has it been since the last one was, they revisited?
8
this?
years,
8 years.
you gotta say about 8 years. I would say, guess 8, 9 years. And, It's a good program. When it first started, it was. You just gotta go by it. And if you don't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I
But it's-
understand.
You can take a lot of information and make it a lot of what they recommend. You know, if you can't do it all, then you gotta move some.
Right, it's triage. Yeah,
As far as pending, is there any update? Heard anything new from NICEAG as far as Wild Oaks? They coming out?
Unless Tony has.
Yeah, yeah, we should get into that discussion now, but basically, yeah, they don't have us. I did leave a message with Richard Schmo.
You did, yeah, I did too.
Waiting
So,
yeah, so they haven't done anything yet. We'll get to that.
So anyway,
Okay.
that was my point there. I know it's, nobody wants to hear it, but, they.
So you're
adding
recommending
to-
adding to that road
Adding to
resurfacing.
the road resurfacing, yeah.
eventually you can't hear. it. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's.
I mean, it's something you can't walk away from, it's something get better. And each year we have to push, you know, whoop, you get them, Tony, I get them, everybody, well, when's our road getting? So we do it the best that, you know, put out some of the fires. Some of them are a little bigger than others, but I think we're making good inroads, especially on the bigger roads.
I think there are hidden costs here, as we talked about, and some of them are on our side of the ledger, some of them may be on the resident side. If you have a neighborhood where the road's pretty bad, does that shave off a little bit out of your resale price, or does that give you a little more maintenance headaches with your car or whatever? Could be hard to quantify.
Money in, money out, it's fine.
Peter, I just remembered, last week I received a letter from New York State regarding the Bridge New York program. Are you familiar with that?
I'm familiar, I didn't receive the letter. You
Did
got
we,
it.
didn't we use that once before to get grant money for culvert?
Quite a long time ago,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
I
okay.
think Parsons did it that time.
Right.
Parsons was there. First came.
So apparently
Let me
there's,
see what you know, see if
Yeah.
you dig, any place we can dig some bucks.
Right. okay, just sticking with highway, the only other, let's see. The only other change here in the adjustment since the tentative was the additional $27,615. That's for medical for one of the employees who wants to is opting in for the insurance. Yeah, so we added that line in. That's right here, Rich, if you want to. And that's it on the highway fund. As far as the latest changes. Any other questions for Peter Rippinger?
thank you.
We did, for the tentative budget, we took out $30,000 from the salt line. Which is trying to get more out of Peter, but it's not gonna work.
With the winter, I don't know. Bridgeville was out Saturday. I couldn't believe it.
Were they? Okay.
Out of salt?
No,
No,
out.
they were out
salting.
salting them.
Oh, they were
And
out.
every salted.
Wow. What did they
Don't
know?
hang it, guys.
What did they know that we didn't?
So
That's okay, they can keep that.
so if I'm reading it correctly, where we are budgetary process for highway, we're kind of online for what was adopted last year. We're not too far different.
No, we're not. Correct. We're at 3.79 million. Last year was 3.85.
Yes,
Thank you, Peter.
thank you.
Okay, so let's see, the next, I'd say the next major change I'd like to go over here is, well, Parks and Rec. That's on the revenue side. So I sat down with Nicole and we reviewed where we can make some changes. And this is in Parks and Recreation. It's probably towards the top of your printout. It's A 2001. I'm sorry, it's the revenue side. It's not the, so it's towards the back. Here. General fund, it's general fund revenues. It's the third page from the back. Halfway down the page, Parks and Rec. So there we,
82001.
correct. So I'm gonna read to you what Nicole sent me. So we had a discussion and she went back and we did some further research. So she increased her revenue line from 1.23 million to 1,300,800 dollars.
70,000.
That's a $70,000 increase in revenue. She says she's confident that if we move forward with the pickleball and platform courts at the town park, which is something that we would like to pursue, her and I, we would like to pursue, as well as the renovation of the pool restrooms, this will increase revenue in both the pool and tennis lines. If these are done, she would also increase the pool revenue an additional 15,000. I did not reflect that here. But in addition to the 70,000, she feels we can get another 15,000 in the pool revenue line.
Tell us about the pickleball on the platform.
Yeah, so that we've been talking about what to do with the old tennis courts at the town park. So we had Pellet Sessions come out and give us an evaluation of the stability of that court, because there are cracks in it. They feel that it's stable enough for us to continue using it with some repair work. So the thought is to pour a new surface. It is an 8-quart. It's like a concrete that's flexible. Forget the name of it. And with that, we have a couple of options. We could do pickleball courts in addition to platform, and there is a demand. We've been getting, both Nicole and I, getting a lot of, once folks got wind that this was being discussed, we're getting a lot of emails.
People have reached out to me as well.
Right.
What-
So,
What are they basing their opinion that it's stable up there where the tennis courts are? Because that's been really problematic.
because it hasn't, what's there now, it hasn't shown any increased shifting or settling, according to the evaluation done by Pellet Sessions.
What did they evaluate? I mean, does it say, okay, the cracks didn't get any worse, so it's
Correct.
okay?
Basically, yes. It's got to the point where it's settled, and they don't believe that there is, one of the thoughts was that there was some major drainage issue, and they believe that if there was a major drainage issue, we would have been worse off than we are after however many years the court's been closed. So the idea is to take that, in the simplest thing to do is to fix what's there, resurface the courts, and put down the lines for pickleball and the nets. For a portion of it. The other portion would be platform, or use the entire court for pickleballs and place the platform tennis courts somewhere else within the park.
Well, as I see in the budget, we also have a tennis instructor line here, right? So
Correct.
are people, I guess the
So
question is, if there were tennis courts that were in good shape, would people be using?
There are
Well-
tennis courts at True.
Yeah.
They're not true in them, and now the high school has them. So I believe part of the issue is that when the high school built theirs, people were on that side of town were going over there.
And that was the argument, like people were saying, well, should we spend money on fixing these courts? And then everybody's saying, well, everybody's going over to these other places, so. It's adaptive.
My understanding is those tennis courts in the town park have some structural issues because of where they're built
Right.
up on the hill.
Right.
Your understanding from, because I just finished saying that
Yeah.
Pellet Sessions went out there.
Right,
So
So-
your understanding is that they have structural issues. Where'd you get that from?
that there was, I thought it was with a conversation with someone from parks or who used to work in parks, saying that there were some additional issues there. I don't know if that's substantiated or not, just that it would be difficult.
Well, that,
Sounds like
To do,
what he
right.
said.
so we
was the-
evaluated, that was what a concern. So we had Pellet Sessions come out there. They don't feel that's a concern anymore.
It's fine. And what about, didn't we have someone who was volunteering to or donating?
There was somebody that it was gonna be a private-public partnership arrangement where they would come in, they would do the necessary repairs, build the additional facilities that are required to turn that into a place where they can hold tournaments, they can provide tennis, training, they can provide access to residents and non-residents as well. And they would market, and then we would get a revenue share.
That
And then
wasn't,
after 20+ years, we would own it, essentially.
all right. And didn't someone that Peter Cipriano knows volunteer to donate a pickleball court somewhere in town? I thought that I saw
Correct.
emails. going
Correct.
around. Okay,
Yeah, and I haven't heard anything. I think there was a deadline and I gave them the go-ahead to pursue that.
okay.
And I wrote the letter of support.
I think
I
we're
haven't
waiting
heard.
to hear back from the private organization.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
the private organization I'm referring to was another, that's
That was
separate
something
from
else.
Yeah.
Peter Cipriano's
Yes.
relative, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So I went ahead and put that in, with the understanding that we are going to pursue this. I mean, this is where, I think that we can use some of the ARPA funds for this work. We did receive a proposal, I haven't looked at it yet, last week for, I think it's for the platform tennis. So we need to start getting those proposals and have prac review.
And I know also that Nicole is looking into estimates on the repair of the bathhouse for the pool.
Correct.
So,
And-
just stay with the court here for a second.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If there's a capital investment to be made to get the courts to the point where this revenue can be realized,
Mhm.
then it's not just sort of new clear revenue, it's a kind of a return on that investment.
Correct.
That's,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
So it would be helpful to have, plus minus 30% an idea of what that investment might.
And it could be an investment on big money that was given us by the federal government, like the ARPA money.
Yeah,
So it's
that's true.
it's an even greater return if you look at it from that perspective.
Well, yeah, you could say that and, but of course the funds could be used for other things as well. So.
Right.
So.
But so that's that's the how we got to that number. I think that was the only adjustment here. Yeah, on the revenue side.
So it's 70,000, because there's a lot of increased expenses in the proposed budget for Parks and Recreation.
Yeah, so let's look at that. General fund.
I mean, because should we just want to continue to go through department and do it that way?
Yeah, let's go back to the Parks and Rec expenses. Stick with that since we're. Yeah, so we have. This would be if you want the page on the 10-year budget.
A7110 it starts at.
The page is out.
There is none. There's no page number.
Count the pages.
Oh,
1, 2, 3. Page 6, I believe, of the. Once you get into the,
The fifth page from the back. Actually, it's the bottom of the 6th page from the back. Yeah.
yeah, A7110, that's the, because the numbers run consecutive, so you can just.
What is recreation? Yeah, it's a 70/20. Recreation administration. So that's the starts with the salaries. Everyone there?
Right.
So the adjustments here, so we went through Nicole and I, so there's some minor adjustments on the salary items.
Hold on.
Basically reduction of $4,700. That's here. Correct, that's it, yeah. And if you click on the next page, it's, yeah. So.
Well, I don't want to interrupt. I have a question. The salaries and wages are very confusing how they're lined out there.
Mhm.
I don't understand it.
So the senior
Actually,
office assistant, for example, that's a union position. So that's we just negotiated and came to terms and agreed to the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement. So this is reflecting the salaries in that agreement for senior office assistant, the recreation assistant. I believe that's also we made an adjustment of minus $6,000 because she's looking to hire a more entry-level person.
I'm looking at a number that says 51,000 going up to 112,000. That's what I'm
because there's
looking
an
at.
additional person. There's an additional rec assistant. Right now we have one, it's Michael Portnoy,
Right,
and we're looking to hire another person that's going to replace Nikki, who's no longer with us.
right.
That's where that,
And the superintendent
we don't have a superintendent,
is, so that's offset there.
right?
We're not waiting for anybody to take a test within to move up to that position. We're gonna stay as is with,
But they can once the test is offered,
right.
test is not offered.
This-
So we made these changes that you see here on the screen, the 47, it equates to a minus $4,700 adjustment for salaries and wages. That automatically changes the number for the Social Security, the FICA, Medicare. Let's see what else is here. Yeah, I don't believe there were any other adjustments to Parks and Rec expenses. Actually, I'm sorry, the youth equipment. There was, we took that out. That was actually for a sign, a new sign, a town park sign. And that's another one which I mentioned to Nicole, there's a grant opportunity to the Hudson Valley Greenway to get grant money for the sign. So that's why we agreed to remove the $5,000.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I cannot, I'm getting a headache. I can't read. It's too dark.
Okay,
I'm
can we put
using
the
my
light on?
flashlight. I'm sorry. I cannot follow and
Okay. Sorry. You can't see that because I'm scrolling down there. You can't see that either, right?
no, because I'm all the way over here, so everything is this way and it's
Angle's
fuzzy.
bad.
You know what?
Sorry.
There is
Why don't
no reason, this is a work session.
Yeah.
You could even move to this side of the table. Would that
Do you
help?
want
Yeah,
to?
I didn't understand why the table was set up this anyway. I thought we were
Yeah.
gonna sit in a circle.
I know, but it's, yeah. Can you, so I'm showing Rich, for example, my screen. Can you show her your screen?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Right, he's looking at this document
Correct.
and he's looking at the screen. I can't
Okay,
do that, so
okay.
I'm looking at the same.
So did you understand the salary part that we just finished, right? So we made some adjustments there. It's a decrease in $4,700. We'll back up.
To which position? Or just total
In
Total.
general,
in general?
And I'll email everybody this. I mean, we have time to still review it. You know, right now, these are the changes that, this has been fluid the last week or so. You know, some of these changes were done late yesterday. Or actually, yeah, I did some changes after and some today.
Look like from over there? And I just, if I
Yeah,
had
we need to
them,
move
if
it.
I had them earlier today, things would make more sense. It was just like, we're going all over the place and it's hard
All
to
right, so let's keep going, because I mean. And
better.
just from a macro standpoint, looking where we're at now, we have there's a bunch of people where there's very high increases proposed. And then, so you have on one hand, you have essentially looking at it macro, you have a base 3% increase. And then a bunch of people who have some into like a double-digit increase.
Actually,
So-
no, it's for the non-union folks, it's the increase is uniform.
What's that, say again?
For the non-union employees, the increase is the same for everyone.
Well, I guess we can go through it. That's not how I guess that's not how I'm reading it, but.
Yeah, and one thing to keep in mind is when the adopted budget for last year for salaries, we actually made some adjustments afterwards, which were, because we weren't sure where the increases were gonna be with the unions. And so there was, if you look at the actuals for 2020, the actual salaries for the non-union employees.
Why don't you just go
So,
through
yeah.
your points and then we could go back to the beginning and then I could ask the questions
Well,
that
if
I
you
have.
want- Yeah, so I have a separate spreadsheet where I review all the salaries for the non-union folks.
Okay, I'm just trying to, follow where you're going here because I didn't have anything to review on these things that you're going through. So just go ahead.
So it's only, so I'm going through the points that adjustments that were made.
Right, I'm
Only
just saying,
adjustments that were made.
finish
So-
your adjustments that got
Okay.
from the 6,557 to the 549, and then we can go back to the beginning. It's fine.
Okay, so let me continue that. So we understand the salary adjustment for Parks and Rec.
Yeah, 4,700 decrease. what we
Okay,
said.
good.
That's what you said.
Let's move on from there. Okay. And then we have. Now, this is it's on the youth equipment, but that was for the sign. That was placed under that line item. So we took out $5,000. Right? Is that understood?
Yep,
That's I just can't find the youth equipment on here.
Yeah, you said you
It's-
hope to get a grant for the 5,000, I think is what you said.
Yes,
Which sign was that again?
the
So
sign
that-
for the
town
town park,
that's Town Park, yeah, A73.
something to be more
What
legible.
type of grant
The Hudson Valley Greenway,
for a sign?
yeah, potentially.
Hmm. Are they open to, like,
Reason I say that is because I actually worked on a grant when I first got on the board, 2018, for gateway signs into the town through that program.
so,
And we didn't get it, but
yeah, because this came up, I think I mentioned it, like the OSPAC people.
that's right. Yeah.
For signage for the preserves and really an opportunity for us to look at the way we do the whole thing and
Yeah.
pull it all together in one theme. And, so anyway,
So that's the
Keep that in mind.
$5,000 that, if you look at the screen up there. Contractual expenses. Are you following that now, Andrea? Okay. And it's on the screen as well. My cursor is on it. Okay. Okay, so that's equipment. And then we also, Nicole also dropped $5,000 from the winter, spring and summer programs. So that's a total of 10,000 less for the youth program subtotal. I'm just continuing down that same column. And then you get program for the aging. There were no changes there. Adult and family activities, A7620. No changes there. Transportation, A7989. No changes there. So that's, let's see. Yeah. So we're back to the library. So that's Parks and Rec.
Before you scroll back up, can you go right to the end? Okay, and can you tab over as far
Oh,
as the
actually,
adjustments go?
Tab over.
I mean, scroll over.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So it's now,
So preliminary budget for, hold on a second. These are, hold on,
okay, right there.
oops, sorry.
Okay, so each subsection was totaled then, and
Correct.
there are no changes in the last couple of sections. of
Right, if there are any
Parks and Rec.
changes, you'd see these zeros.
Okay.
Number, actually this column. Okay. Okay. So let me just go back. So let me just, I'm gonna shrink this down a bit just for a second. So I'm gonna look for, make sure I didn't miss anything here. That's yeah, so those are the only changes. That's right. There's nothing else here. So Rich, you said before we went into Parks and Rec, you said that you had some concerns about some of the expenses. Any specific ones?
Well, the salaries, I'll wait till you finish.
Okay.
You have items you want to present from the
Okay.
655 to 549. And I'll just go from the beginning to the end, from page one and move.
Okay.
It's just, I mean,
So
the
those are
public
the-
is watching this. It's very,
Yeah.
it's virtually impossible for the public to be able to follow what we're trying to do here. And I think it should be
So,
a little more, easy to
okay,
follow.
I wanted to hit the heavy hitters with the folks that were here, the highway, the library. We went into Parks and Rec. They both couldn't be here tonight, but she filled me in on everything.
Yeah,
So
we have
starting at the
the
top.
5,800 basically for the library, we have the 20,000 highway reduction, and we have the 4,700 for the Parks and Rec and the 5,000 for the sign. That's all we have.
And the Parks and Rec revenue plus 70K.
Right, on the expense.
Right. All right, so starting from the top, let's go down. So we have no adjustments here.
Is there anything else you were gonna go over on your
Police
items?
department? You want me to go to the department or do you want me to start from the top?
You had a list you wanted to get to, so go ahead, finish yours.
You want to respond to the items that were just presented?
Correct. But you said let's start from the top.
No,
No, it's fine. You just go through what your items are and then we can go back to the beginning.
Okay.
That's fine.
Good. So
You had a list of
continue.
items, that's fine.
So let me continue where I left off. So next we have police. So the changes there, in talking to the chief, we reduced the part-time police budget by $35,000. And that came out of not having a dedicated SLE, a part-time officer doing basically writing tickets, right?
Well, why shouldn't we have that?
That's why we're here. If you think we should have it, we can consider putting it back in.
Well,
Dedicated what kind of?
SLE, which is it's law enforcement, it's the S thing for it.
I mean,
Yeah.
is it different than our other part-timers?
It would be, yes, it would be a part-time officer that would have, his responsibility would be more for enforcement of.
He's a vehicle and
traffic.
traffic law guy. He
Correct.
says he's not responding to calls. He's just out on the road for vehicle and traffic law enforcement. That's my understanding.
Correct,
So you're reducing the part-time by 35,000?
that's correct,
just taking out that person dedicated to the BTL sound.
correct,
If we had somebody for that 35 and for hypothetically, we got 100,000 in revenue from BTL over the course of the year,
Right.
then it would be
right.
a good use of money.
But this is a new concept to me, having sort of a special category of officer. We always think we had, whatever, mostly two guys on shift. And they do it all.
Yeah,
So was
This
the
should be
idea
happening.
here, when was this introduced? I'm not, is it in addition to the two guys on shift?
yeah, I believe when the chief presented his budget, that's when he was here. He
Okay.
presented that, yeah.
Okay.
So it's new. It's not something
It
that
would
we
be
had.
new, correct, correct.
I mean,
So he agreed to. That we could pull it back out.
And, you know, obviously Richard's point is well taken, that if there is, you know, significant defraying of that. you know,
Here it
through
is.
Execution of the duties. And,
Right.
and it makes our roads safer, then there's an argument for it, but, you know, so if you take that out, are we looking, did we, you know, reduce the revenue side also at the same time?
well, the
Well, there is a
police,
police side here.
the monthly police reports seem to reflect around, 80 to 100 tickets a month that are written. So you're talking about, two or three tickets a day that are written. Do the averages, that's essentially what you're talking about.
The
It's,
question is, does he write enough tickets to pay for his own salary to justify? I mean, that's really.
And then take into account, those that go to court and there's court expenses associated with the ticket.
Well, Harrison would.
I'm just saying that if the chief put that in, did it also get reflected in the receipts in some way that when you take it out, that reflection should also come out?
I mean,
No,
you-
this was not reflected in the court.
The part-time budget is,
Okay.
the part-time budget
Fine.
here is it's close to $140,000 increase. Right? 431 to 546, so it's $115,000.
131 to 546, correct. So
It's $115,000 increase in part-time officer line.
right, well, now it's less because we took out the 35,000. Yeah.
Okay, so it's 80,000.
Right.
Okay, so what does that increase of $80,000 get us?
It gets more part-time
How-
officers.
Well, how many is it? Well, yeah, I mean, that's something
I
I'd like to have an understanding about.
Okay, so we can ask the chief that.
I don't know, did we fill in a shift? Or we were only,
We're still only doing the 2 shifts, so.
right,
Right, that's so why is it an $80,000 line increase?
Let's check with the chief on that. He wasn't available to come here tonight, so.
I mean, the other,
I can ask him.
the other items are essentially status quo as far as the police budget
Correct.
and which also answer that question as far as, if we had the dedicated officer for that 35,000, what would be projected revenue if we had somebody doing that? For example, if we spent the 35 and then the revenue would also make it revenue neutral with the additional part-time officer line, then we're
Right.
covering the chief's needs and we're generating revenue to make it revenue neutral.
Right,
that's
okay.
basically. the
So
flip side.
what I would recommend is that you or Anderson, to the police liaison, maybe discuss that with the chief.
It's not possible that increase in the officer line includes some person power for clerical kind of stuff that has been,
Right, we discussed a lot about that, about having someone helping
yeah,
the chief of police in the office, and we were
Yeah.
talking about that extra person.
Right.
work.
right, is, that's not in there, is it?
That would be
We think-
part of the full-time. That was the sergeant and officers.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, everything else is.
Yeah, that was the big change.
Okay, so those are the major ones. PD. So let me just go back up to the top and then we'll go back.
Do you have is your list on?
What's that?
Is your list on? You had your items. Is that right? You wanted to
Yeah.
highlight your items.
So
I just
this-
want to, I don't want to interrupt your presentation
Yeah,
of your
so
items.
there's some shared services, but that's up here, and then there's the grants administration that's up here also, so that's close to the top, so we'll go from the top down now.
All right, so you're basically done with your stuff. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
So just scrolling, we have the town board subtotal, we have the justice court,
Well,
no changes there.
could we just want to discuss as we
Sure.
go? Yeah.
Whatever you want to discuss here.
All right. So I want to freeze town board members' salary again. That's my proposal. So. I would put it to 64,860 again.
Hold on a second, let me do that. 64,860?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna do the math, what's the adjustment there?
For this year, anything's in this.
3240, 3260, I'm sorry. 3240, I'm sorry. Yeah, 3240.
68, 60. Actually, hold on a
Do
second.
these,
3,004.
So actually, hold on, this is where that other spreadsheet, the actual number. Second. It's 68,100 is the actual number.
Right, minus 64,860, so it's a reduction in,
I'm sorry, 64,860 is the, yeah.
it's last year's ago.
Minus 3240, so I'm gonna go.
the adjustment,
Oops.
Elementary school math, I can do in my head, algebra was a problem.
Yeah, no, math minor.
Okay, so that's,
Minus 3240, so you're all in agreement in doing that, okay?
okay,
the other
So how
thing
much
is
the saving?
3240.
$3,240.
So we're still at 5.45 on the tax rate.
okay.
Now, the other thing is, does this number include the fact that I'm not taking health insurance?
No, it's separate.
That's a separate line,
Okay,
and that should be reflected in there,
It's in
right?
it's in the
Okay.
hospital.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, my next is, Okay.
Okay, so we scroll down, we have town board subtotal. Okay. Justice court,
yeah, some comments on there.
Yeah.
Justice Court, the proposal is, increase court clerks by $10,000, just about. Extra hours is staying the same in longevity. That's effectively a 10% increase for each of the court clerks in salary.
That's what we talked about that.
Right.
And I went back, that's why, thank you, Dan, for pointing out where the budget was, I didn't go back.
So-
on the website.
the actuals for the court clerks is actually 110,550. It's not the 106,180.
Yeah, 106, 180, and then the requested was 116, unless it's,
Right, forget the 106, 180. What's in ADP, again, this is based on the, last year we had, there was a gap between,
I'm looking at adopted 106, 180,
correct,
and then requested 116, 100.
correct, but then it turned out that the actuals for, and I spoke to Leo about this, and he said this was, the board was informed about this last year. When we had made some estimates, but then we ended up readjusting the salaries, and this is when we went to a 4% raise. So the actuals for the two court clerks is currently today, 110,550. The requested is 116,100. That's a 5% increase.
So
So it's
they're
not a
actually
10%.
combined making 110, not.
Correct.
106.
Correct, but if you look at the screen, that's that
One-
gray column. It's hard to see.
So
but-
what- then why-
Andrea,
So why do you have, why didn't,
110,550.
Thank you.
so why isn't there a column reflecting in between what it was last year and what the request is. There's nothing in between reflecting, you say the actuals, there's no such column.
Yeah, we
Um,
don't usually have an actual.
They didn't,
column
yeah, they
in
didn't
the-
publish actuals, yeah.
Well, the issue is, I mean, you can put one, but and for
Yeah.
salaries, but for like the rest of the document, you don't know because the year hasn't finished yet. So a lot of times you end up with a number that was, it's like whatever comes out of the accounting system, and it's up through September, and then you're trying to figure out what does this represent? You don't even know what the.
So what is that, an actual
So
52-week number, in other words? Is that the,
That's the actual.
That's the 110
salary
is?
That's in ADP, the payroll system.
okay,
So the 110, what did I say was 110,550? This comes from ADP. So last year, the union increases were not included in the 2022 adopted because we didn't have those numbers yet. So there was a contingency line, and that contingency line, we then came to agreement that the increases last year would be 4%. That came out of the contingency line. So now the actuals in the payroll system reflect the actual salaries. So the difference between what's being requested, the 116,100, and what's in ADP is a 5% increase.
what are the, okay, I got it. So what are the hours of the court clerks? What are the hours of our town? Since I'm the liaison, I guess maybe I should know that. What are the hours for the town court?
Probably on the
As in
website.
total hours or like what?
The hours, in other words, because what are the hours that the court clerks are expected to work?
Per week.
I don't know that off the top of my head.
Okay, because you
So-
have a situation where there's $15,000 in extra hours budgeted. Um,
So they have court night.
yeah,
There are
but
also a lot. It's really under the guise of the Office of Court Administration. They do get town holidays and things like that off, but really, they kind of independently determine what their hours are in conjunction with the Office of Court Administration. I'm not saying, one way or the other for the bad, but for the most part, the court in town is open 5 days a week. And there are some days that they close early, whether it be snow or the day after Thanksgiving or things like
Well,
that, but other than that, they're there.
what the point I'm getting at is that the court hours, I presume, are regular. There's regular court hours. Because
Yeah,
there's
that-
court,
At night, only at night, but the two court clerks are there during the day.
no, but what I'm saying is it's a predictable schedule. It's not as if there's a snowstorm and then the court clerks have to come in and work extra hours.
Correct.
That's what I'm saying is, so the question is, why is there $15,000 in extra
So the
hours?
other way to word it is to say, is there a possibility that if they're doing night hours, that they would reduce those same hours during the day so that they end up with a normal working week?
Right, also.
Can they get all the work
Right.
done? in that?
Also, the fact that the court
That's
was,
right.
right, and during COVID, the court was effectively closed for 2 years. Effectively, yeah. So the question is, what are the needs of the court as far as
15,000.
hours? No, right, the extra, right.
Mhm.
The extra hours.
In other words, court is Monday night. So in other words,
So that would be a good
So-
one to get actuals, and that would be something where actuals to date could be extrapolated probably and give us an idea.
yeah, because it's not as if people are coming in there's arraignments that they're coming in at all times either. I don't think so. It should be a predictable, it should be a predictable expense.
Here's what goes on with court. Aside from the regular calendar is going to include, there's dogs and there's,
Right.
small cleaning stuff. There's neighbors, there's that kind of stuff, which can be planned out. But you have to realize the court is still also catching up from the 2 years that they weren't in session for all the traffic tickets that accumulated before COVID, not counting the ones in there. So they're catching up with all those things. In addition, although the criminal calendar is picked up again, they're not having full calendars where they're having, 20, 30 people coming in. They're still catching up. They're increasing the number of people coming in, but they're still keeping protocol. Everything is moving, but slowed down still because of all the catch-up work and all the criminal cases.
So it's not like there's a lack of work.
So you're justifying why they have extra hours. You're questioning that. So as court liaison, you want to pursue that with the court clerks or with the judges?
Yeah,
Okay. So let's do that.
yeah, because it should be it seems like it should be a predictable expense.
Okay.
Based upon how the court's set up. And
Okay, so
And also to make sure that maximizing any opportunity to do things, say by mail, as
Mhm,
opposed to in person, to
Okay.
reduce overhead.
Okay. All right, so you'll follow up with that and let us know. Rich, thank you.
And then I
Okay.
see the judges put in clarification of this as well.
They did. Let me see, let me go back there. Here. They did, and that's also, let me just verify on my other sheet here. That is also a 5% increase. Yes. Okay.
So the minimum increase of any employee is listed as 5%
For
in this
non-union,
proposal
that's correct,
for non-union.
right?
Okay, okay, so moving down
Moving down. So-
for confidential secretary, I'm seeing that as an increase from 71,965 to 78,600.
So,
Do I have that right?
sorry, a second. Actually, it's from the actual in the ADP is 74,850. So it's from 74,850 to including and the supervisor as well. The supervisor was listed as 99,560, and it's actually less. It's 98,650 in ADP.
So why is yours less?
So all I know is that I'm getting a 5% increase like everybody else. I don't know why it says, I mean, it was whatever the 4%, the 4% increase from last year is what equated to a 98,650. I don't know why it's again, these numbers, the actual, going back to what I said earlier, we didn't have the full salary numbers. What Leo would do is he would wait till the union negotiations were completed. And then he had a contingency built in for to support any potential increases. And based on those increases, that's when he would determine what the actual across the board salary
But
increases
these
would be.
5% increases, they're not mandatory by any stretch of the imagination.
You're not.
Okay.
Not.
It could be less, it could be
It could be
more.
less, it could be right, yeah, but whatever we decide here tonight, it cannot be. Well, actually, it could be for some of us, it can't change upwards, like me.
But it can't go up.
Janet has to publish a notice for myself, you, highway superintendent, and who was one other person?
Receiver of tax.
Yeah.
Not the receiver of taxes, no.
Supervisor, council members, superintendent of highways, and town clerk,
Right,
elected officials,
so whatever salaries are
but
in,
not all.
not all elected, yeah, not the tax receiver.
So as far as what you've just discussed right now, council members each would be at what?
Would be at, go back up there.
I had 17,025.
It would be 68,100 divided by 4.
64.
No,
64,
64,860.
Wait.
16 to
Sorry.
16,215.
I was on the wrong spreadsheet.
215. 16,215.
Yes,
If 16,215 times 4.
64,860.
divided by 4.
16,215. So,
You get to go to the bonus.
so these salaries that Janet just listed need to be noticed, published, and we can't deviate upwards from that.
Right, we can reduce.
After
it, we can
tonight.
go up. Got it.
Correct.
After tonight.
So, okay, so we were under, okay, supervisor. So again, it's 5% for supervisor and secretary. And I added a $5,000 grants administration line just because of the grants work. We had a phenomenal year with grants. There's a lot of work that goes into grants, so I want to put in a $5,000 line because of the help that my secretary has given me with the grants.
So basically,
She's taken on the role of grants and has been.
So basically you're giving her a stipend.
Correct.
Wait, what for what now?
For all the grant work. The follow through with New York City.
So
FC,
what about-
With the,
Well,
with,
where is that line?
that's a new line, sorry, that's a new line. I discussed it with Leo. He
So
said I
it's
could put, it's on your thing. It's on
Okay,
the screen.
I'm only got what's in front of me, okay? Go ahead.
That's why we're showing the preliminary up here. That's the tentative, that's a new line that we added.
I'm sorry.
It's not on your, on these.
No, it's not on this. I just wish
Yeah.
that we would have had this in writing.
Yeah.
Earlier today. Make this.
Well, that's why we're displaying it, so,
I know.
yeah.
but For those of us who are digesting it and
Yeah.
those of us who are making the decisions here, having this before, right now, would have been helpful, Tony.
Right.
Because we could have looked at the numbers, compared and spoken to you as
So,
you requested.
yes.
And maybe.
So I had to sit down with Leo today. Today was the first time Leo was back in the office.
I understand that.
Okay, so let's keep that in mind. But the changes that I listed out here are the only changes that were made, and now we're going through them in more detail. But-
Yeah,
All right,
So-
so I'm not in favor of grant line. We have a grant committee and perhaps we should.
yeah, which we need to, Grand
But-
Advisory
But
Committee,
the
yeah.
grant committee is not doing the legwork with submitting applications. and
Well, they should be.
follow-through.
They should
No,
be.
they shouldn't. They're an advisory committee.
Well, they should be, they can be, it's within the mission statement, they could be.
Well, they haven't done all the grants that the $4 million in grants, that has not gone through them.
Well,
No,
it
it
should,
also happens before they're establishments and before they're appointed.
Some of it, not all of
You
it, like the
did-
SAM
you did a
grants.
lot of
Yeah,
that work
yeah.
Before.
But even the ones that I started, well, there's still administrative work that goes on. I'm not gonna hand that off to the grants committee.
That's a pretty serious stuff.
You don't wanna do that.
Yeah.
You don't wanna
I don't-
introduce
I
new
don't think
people
that's
into the
a-
process.
That's a good idea.
no, but I think the Grand Advisory Committee, aside from under
They
staff,
should
there
be
should be, there, no,
researching.
well, we've talked about it. Their mission has to be clarified, and we've had discussions about that.
You're the liaison. Let's do that.
But
Let's get that
I'm
done.
just gonna weigh in also, the grant administration is, you know, you gotta do it right.
It's a lot of work. You have to be-
Clerical Stuff. It's
yeah,
not the kind of thing
You
want.
can't do it at night. You have to do it during the day when the state offices are open.
No, I understand it's a lot of work. are there other towns that give stipends for?
There are the towns that hire
Hire.
outside source.
Well, that's,
And I
that's-
think of hiring.
But even when they hire, the actual documentation for processing the grants has to come to the townhouse, to the supervisor.
are the confidential secretary's
Yes.
hours different from what they were? The confidential secretary's daily hours different from what they were, or regular hours?
There is, so the short answer is no, but there are many hours that are put in extra above and beyond the regular hours.
Well, that's my question. My
Yeah.
question is, from what she worked, the weekly hours that she works increase from what they were in a weekly basis, because you're asking to pay her another $5,000 if she's changing what she's doing as opposed to spending more time doing stuff. It's a different
She's spending
factor.
more time doing stuff.
It's different, but I don't know about like your office, but in my office, when people get new responsibilities, and you know, a lot of times, there's a recognition. But we can talk about
But it is
what it
a
is. but-
responsibility. It's the same way that it's been done since Lewisboro
Not,
came to be.
not to the degree it's being done now.
But I don't know if I got an answer to my question. Is she
Tax
working more?
person doesn't give a stipend for the confidential secretary helping.
We
with-
give stipends to other
We
people
get
as well. There are other
other
people that get stipends,
Right.
doing other services to supplement their regular roles. Yeah.
$5,000 stipend when we're so far above. the tax
So,
cap.
so $5,000 is a drop in the bucket compared to, it's not gonna change your tax number.
But you didn't- yeah, but
Right
in
now
it-
with the changes.
No, but the answer, I'm still trying to get an answer to your question. From what is she spending more hours each week as a result of this specific
Correct.
component? That's my question.
Yes.
Okay,
So whenever there's activity, like with any of these grants, she packages them up for me.
But that's
and
the,
sends
that's,
them off, and she stays in touch with the agencies that are providing. the
you're
grants.
telling me what she does in that
Yeah.
regard. My question to you, is she working additional hours as a result of what you're saying?
Yes.
Maybe it's increased responsibilities. For example, she was working 40 hours a week and now she's working 45 hours
It's
each
gonna
week.
be even more if I have a little more breathing room to be able to pursue the grants I want to pursue. There will be more hours. And I'd like to compensate the person that's doing the work.
Okay, still not, I know, you're still, I'm still not getting what
An
the
extra
hours
10
are.
hours a week, how's that? I don't know. I don't know what what is that? What is $5,000 a year boil down to?
$100 a week. So that's
Okay.
why I'm asking.
Okay. So it's $100 a week.
But that's why I'm still trying to get an answer for the time that she spent.
Yeah.
And if she's, because you're spending total time, otherwise it's a zero sum game. If she's not spending more time.
spending
then-
extra
then that
time.
means that
There are
now.
weeks that are there.
Well, hold on. I'm trying to,
Yeah.
you're making a request, so I'm
Right.
trying to assess what the information as to why you're making the request.
Mhm.
If she's spending time focusing on that, because that's an area of focus that you want to do, which is totally fine. The question is that with less time being spent on something else potentially? So that's what I'm asking.
No.
I know, that's what I'm
not
asking,
spending
because I
less
know for
time.
myself, if I have
I
something to
was
do,
thinking
sometimes I have to work more hours. That's
Yeah.
what I have to do.
Right. And that's done.
Like,
the
we're not
evenings,
taking other responsibilities away from her for doing so.
I'm not saying anything's been taken away from her
Well, so-
portfolio. I'm asking if she's spending more time as a result of that
And the answer
increased
is
responsibilities.
yes.
And if the
I have
grants
been-
committee was up and running, then she wouldn't be spending this additional time. She'd only have to be tying it up because they would be doing all the groundwork. So I think that if we get the grants committee up and running, then she won't need to sign that. But that's just my opinion. Why don't we move on
Yeah,
to-
actually, I mean, that's
So the
an
grants committee has been in
opportunity.
place since when? When was it that you recommended we create the grants
It's
committee?
been, it's been a while. Part of the issue as far as,
How long?
I don't know, however it's been. I don't have it in front of me. Whenever it was set up.
Right, and we no longer have the chair of the committee, so
Right.
it's kind of in shambles. We really need to fix that if we want them to be an advisory committee to help us find additional grants.
Well, Well, we've had
That needs to be worked on. That's
Yeah,
another topic.
it is, and part of what has to be done is that then it should be, for example, it should be an extension of what anybody in town is doing to help to facilitate it. That's what it should be done. There's people that are on the grants committee who have really extensive experience, and that's not being utilized. It's not being utilized because they don't have the tools to be able to assist the town to the full extent of what their experience and ability is.
Okay, so that
And
needs to
that's
be looked
something,
at.
that's something I brought up. I've raised this on a bunch of occasions.
Okay, so someone needs to develop those tools, so-called tools for them to use.
Yeah, that's having access to things to be able to assist the town in applying for grants. That's what needs to be done. The
Yeah,
people who have the
yeah.
experience, that's
Yeah,
what needs to be
so-
done.
right.
That's my view on it. That's exactly what it should be.
Yeah, so a lot of the interaction has to be done with the municipalities, with the supervisor's office.
Exactly.
I
Sure.
am offloading this to someone who can do it, who already has the know-how to do this. So that's, that's my argument. And it frees me up so I can, look at other grant opportunities and not have to handle the administrative side. Okay,
Yeah, I'm not, I haven't heard I haven't heard of solid arguments
So
about
do you-
additional time.
so you want me to spend more time in grant administration?
I don't,
Okay,
I don't.
This is- We're getting like.
Yeah,
now-
Right.
Yeah.
Yes,
About where are we cutting?
right.
Right.
We're looking for places to cut.
so I'm showing you the
And-
adjustments that I've made. Now, you all have had a chance to look at the tentative budget since it was presented and adopted 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So this shouldn't be the first time we're looking at where we need to make adjustments.
No,
Right?
it's.
I took it upon myself to discuss with the department heads and figure out where I think adjustments can be
right.
made.
That's right.
And if you have others, please share them with me.
Well, that's what
And
we're
you don't have
picking
to
up
do
based
that.
upon the document.
And you have until December 5th, we have the public hearing, but in discussing with Leo today, we really have until the 20th of December to adopt the budget.
Does,
How many meetings do we have between now? and-
We can always we have only one on the 5th right now.
So
So we
that
can have a second meeting if we need to. If we need more time, we have until the 20th. We can set up a second meeting.
So I'm not for the stipend, actually. I think there should be more utilization of the grant advisory
Well,
committee. That's what I said.
I'm okay with it.
But we have,
Said.
okay, but we need to discuss that. We need to discuss the grants advisory committee. You take the lead on it because it's a committee you created, you're the liaison, and let's get them up and running. And let's get a new chair to replace the old chair. But I'm in favor of leaving because I need the help. It's not fair that I keep dumping stuff on my secretary to do this additional work that she hasn't been doing before. And I think she needs to be compensated for it.
Yeah, and I don't think the grants committee can do some great stuff for us but mostly around, new grants, researching them, bringing things as far as they can and all that, but at some point it becomes a town thing, and the actual administration, is, especially with, it's like federal grants and paperwork, all that.
Yeah, I'm not disregarding, I'm not
to-
disregarding that.
You're gonna come to me from my office, right, to help.
And say, where's this, where's this?
Correct. Because that happened with the, when we were applying for the grants for the EV charges, which we didn't
Yeah,
get.
but no matter who
But they were
is
coming
doing
to
it, they're going to come to the office and ask us questions. And whether we hire, and there are a lot of grants out there where the fee to the grant writer is written into the grant. There's lots of things. We are all getting stuck on one line,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
A few of us don't agree with this particular line, but
Okay.
that's $5,000. There's lots of other places that we
Yeah.
can also cut. We can talk
So I'm gonna leave- so-
20% increases.
Mary, what's your position on this line? Mary Shaw.
I believe that there are places that we can cut. I do not believe that volunteers should be in charge of administering grants.
They're not in charge.
So you're in favor of keeping this line in?
What's that?
I'm asking Mary if she's in favor of keeping this
She
line
didn't
in.
say that, she just said she doesn't like.
She doesn't feel that
volunteers, so that means
volunteers,
volunteers working to that level
Right.
on grants. She didn't say that she was one way or not in favor of $5,000 stipend.
Okay, well,
I mean, at the
It's-
end of the day, my understanding is originally, before your proposed
Yeah.
changes that you've now presented to us.
Right.
That we, in order to remain under the tax cap, we needed to find or cut approximately
Right.
$312,000. Obviously, we're not gonna find $312,000.
actually, it's 230,000.
And now we're down, right, because you made
230, yes.
after your adjustment, right? So we're not gonna find $230,000 in one location in this budget, right?
Yeah.
So whether it's $2,500 here and $1,000 there, whatever it is, it's gotta add up to
Right,
$232,000.
but I need, yeah,
So we can sit here figuring about 5,000 here,
Mhm.
or when we know that there is disagreement, we can have further discussion.
right.
Or we can continue to move on, so we can.
Yep.
So let's continue to move on,
Yeah,
but
I
again,
vote on
you
moving on.
each have the opportunity to go through this.
Yeah,
Yes.
once
Okay.
we receive it,
Yes.
No, even when you had the tentative, you had the opportunity, you can
Yes,
reach out to
I
the
have my
nominates.
notes.
Okay,
I have my notes,
okay, so
and I'm.
if you have, so we'll go through the list, and if you have anything that you want to cut, let me know.
Right, well, the grant,
Well, that's new, so I need,
It's new.
I'm talking
so
about the
that's what
tentative,
I'm stuck on.
in the tentative,
Right, so my issue is that I think that the raises are all a little on the high side.
so what would you recommend they be?
I think that we have, this is a discussion.
Okay,
I don't know whether.
make a recommendation, so I could, I mean, so in general, the 5% is higher, again, for non-union employees, because union employees get other benefits, and they have, their
Well,
raises
their
are being
raises are
discussed.
correct. It's built in. It's
And
in
they're
the
like
contract.
3%, 2.5%, 3%, depending on the union.
3%, it's
Correct.
built into the contract, so they are
Right.
negotiating.
Right.
These are different. They only change when we vote to change them.
Right,
So I understand that.
so let's move down the list. Let's see what other adjustments were made here.
We would just comment on the raises.
Go
I
ahead.
think traditionally, we've tried to just match the union increases. for the
Right,
most
so if it's
part.
2.5 or 3% in the union. that's
Now, there
usually
is
the
an
match.
argument to be made, we haven't moved in a long time and inflation is whatever, but.
The
those-
unions have other benefits, they
unions
have
have other
job
benefits.
security.
But just to
yeah.
put that in context, so.
Right.
Somewhere,
So we
we're
did
in the
4%
ballpark.
last year. The unions that's still being discussed, but it's around 2.5%.
So if we made it
Last year.
3.5%, there's a proposal, or
2.5%.
3.5%. What would that?
Instead of 5.
Instead of
Right.
5.
Well, look, at the end of the day, we know that our employees deserve to get paid more.
Right.
That's not the issue. If there's no money to pay
And they
it,
didn't get raises in
and they didn't during
2021.
COVID, right?
Right.
But not,
So
we
please
got
keep that in
this
mind.
meeting, that was why I was asking
Yeah,
to see this again.
did you find it?
I did, thanks
good.
again, and pointing me in the right direction.
They were all on they were all on the website, yeah.
So, I saw that, so it's made it more difficult for me
Yeah.
to say that because they went a long time without a raise, but at the same time, we got fined $232,000.
If we want to stay within the cap.
well, that's right, and I've said it before, but like the cap is. Something that we're stuck in, the state applies it to us, but. In a time when inflation is, God knows what. Insurance costs go up, 10%. Energy going up, if you had all these things up, and the fact that we haven't given raises up to now, 2% is like ridiculous. So if 2% means we have to go back to a budget, which has already been, every year, people have sliced out here and there, and find another, 3% cuts or more. Right, so I think that the tax cap this year is like, how are we gonna do that without burning the furniture again?
Yeah.
But there's a difference between breaking the tax cap by 6% versus breaking the tax cap.
That's fine,
Yeah.
I just want to say, like.
Well, I
the tax
understand what you're
cap
saying,
is-
but we really need to, if that's going to happen, we really need to try to get it as close to it as possible. That's.
Right, so,
I don't
and I
want
agree,
to
but,
speak in the newspaper as saying the town board voted to break the tax cap. And
it wouldn't be the first time. I mean,
6% to 8% tax increase.
But we want to also be mindful of the fact that the people who voted for us are going through
Yeah.
inflation and
Yes.
paying more for their fuel, paying more for their insurance, paying more for their groceries. And if we can be fiduciary,
Yes.
Right.
fiscally responsible and keep the increase as low as possible,
Which is,
I think that we would be
Right.
doing a good thing.
which is why my point was to come up, as I said before, half as far as targeting half as far as cuts in expenditures and half for this year to come from the fund balance, so we can close that gap for this year. That
yeah,
was
but then
my
you have
point.
that, you still have that gap next year.
Yeah, you're not-
So you're not-
I understand that. Well, that's my view. I think we should take it for the people in town because
Other towns have done
particularly.
that.
So that's I made it clear. That's my view. That's my view is that we should take that for this year so that we can get to the cap. The fact of the matter is for people on fixed income and the people who we represent in the town. I think we should keep that in mind this year based upon the costs.
Mhm.
And, so you say, oh, if we break the cap and it's X, but then somebody has to pay an extra $1,000 or $2,000 in home heating oil because of the fact that heating oil went from $3 a gallon to $6 a gallon. Especially if it's cold winter, then that's a huge hit for people. So
And-
that's
and
the
I'm-
reason.
I'm okay with that, but again, the point is, next year, we have to fill that gap
Right,
again,
yes,
right?
we do.
So you're gonna be in the same situation, are you gonna take more from the general fund, or are you gonna then
We
increase
got
taxes
to fill that
6%,
gap and
7%?
the inflation and all the
Yeah.
new costs that come with that.
So you may not
So
be,
you're actually digging yourself a hole, and that's what we did for like 10 years.
that's right,
Just up until the financial crisis, which put us in this like completely financially completely untenable position.
And I don't want to see us in that
The
situation.
town's in a good position right now, not because of any, groundbreaking financial planning on behalf of anyone, but the unfortunate fallout of COVID, as Leo explained. And now that money is there, we need to leave it where it is so that we can borrow efficiently when need be. It's our emergency fund. This is, I wouldn't call this an emergency. But, like I agree with Mary, if I am not a fan of breaking the tax cap, I hope we don't. But if we have to, I don't want it to be by a huge amount.
Yeah,
Right.
let's
I
try and
agree.
Can I-
That's
can I
the
ask-
reason for this exercise.
The last session we had, said if we're gonna look for this, the place to really look for it, since we have a reasonable surplus now, those places where we've tried to be conservative on the revenue side, where, we've got, a much higher building department receipts, and we're still budgeting based on against the budget number rather than the actuals. We can try to, we can move that so it's, pin it right on where we think it could be.
Yeah.
And then take the risk, like normally we try to have a little bit of, conservative.
And the other thing, the other place is in Parks and Rec. They have been doing better this year than the year before. And maybe we should adjust.
Wherever the actuals.
I spoke to Leo about that today, about the actuals, and taking a look at them, and that's something we could do. The full actuals for the year won't be known until
Right,
next year. But we can look at, for example, Parks and Rec year today, what are they doing?
yeah,
The department
year to date is
what are they
good.
doing? And then use that to extrapolate with the rest of the year, what we're like. And then we can use that to extrapolate with next year's potential.
Just
maybe.
like building, we're looking budget to budget here, but there's a 2021 actual for building, which I assume is higher than budget,
Correct,
right?
right.
So,
Right, you have a
is there any
conservative.
reason to think that, this year will be much off from that,
Well, I saw that
I can
the,
give a couple.
yeah. Well, I see that the revenue projection for next year is, I think, reduced by 50,000 for the building department, and I think reduced by for the mortgage tax. I think
Correct,
also,
and that was
right?
Leo's.
Yeah, so, well,
Anticipation of where the market's gonna be
well,
next year.
well,
So,
right, to me,
based on
yes,
his-
to me, Leo gets great deference based upon him, institutional memory, having done this for well and over a decade.
As
So
well as
there's
his
no-
professional experience.
So,
Okay, so we get to finance, speaking of Leo, so that's, again, it's 5% increase.
Okay,
On
so
the salary.
here's one question in that department. Based on our current situation, as a comptroller and has a line for an account clerk, which I see an increase.
Yeah, let me explain that.
$40,000, because I know that Leo's been asking for an assistant for a long time, and that was the intention. However.
Not for a long time, but-
Make up, well. for a
He
little
agreed to
while.
do it for this year, for this
Right.
next year, he agreed to do that.
so we have,
So-
is that correct? Do we have an item 14,000 and 44,000?
So,
Is that
so let me
correct?
explain that, yes.
Okay.
So let me explain that to you. 14,000, 11,000 of that is for Cheryl, who supports him as an account clerk. There's a 3,000 $3,000 for overtime, so that's 14. The additional 30 is for the part-time account clerk that we would be hiring.
Now. The makeup of that office is expected to change. The question is, does the new makeup of the office support the increase to $112,000 for that position? Or
The
does it
increase
support-
200, say that
From
again.
103 to 112 is what Andrew's getting at.
Does the future of that office support that, or will the new makeup of that office support a lesser salary?
The new makeup will probably support around 110.
And then the.
At least one of the folks that I've interviewed.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
and the account clerk position, will that be filled under the new makeup of this department right now, or?
We could,
Or keep it as is with the 14.
We could do that, that thought crossed my mind.
That would be-
But the point is, you don't want to overburden the controller with administrative stuff, right? Payroll, claims. That should be, so Leo's theory is, you want to have a controller that's going to focus on the big ticket items.
Right, which is why we're also talking about potentially outsourcing those things and see a cost benefit analysis for that would work.
So saying what?
Outsourcing the finance department,
The payroll stuff,
well, everything, you're talking about everything.
right.
Well, I'm talking at least
Which
that
was
part
the
right there.
suggestion that I had made.
Yeah.
But at least the payroll part of it.
Well, the payroll stuff is done by ADP, right? So we enter the information, ADP does the rest.
Right,
so
but I
how
thought we
much-
needed to-
He does, but he doesn't have to.
That.
Right.
that's fine.
Yeah.
That stuff.
So he did it because he wanted to do it.
Mhm.
And, you know, can the new person do it? Yes, I mean, the person I interviewed today, they have a payroll clerk, she's a deputy controller of the municipality. And they have a payroll clerk and an account clerk that does a lot of the other stuff, the claims and. But they're a larger municipality,
Mhm.
much larger. So.
Shall we talk about this
Mhm.
later?
Yes.
So we could, yeah, so your point about maybe
We can fiddle with those.
we could
numbers.
fiddle with that, so
That's a
That was
place
my-
where we can look
Yes.
for cuts.
I'll make a note here. Fiddle with.
Between 2,900 and 32,900.
Well, so let me, I mean, if I, just a quick math here, if I subtract out that 30,000, our tax rate goes down to 5%. From, what did I say, what was it before?
That's a check.
549 we were at before. After your round, you mean? 549.
Correct, 5.45, and went down to, so it took out half a point. If we did that, so, but something to keep in mind. As we go on.
Okay, that's another spot. So
So let's go on.
For tax
we can't
receiver,
change anything with the auditor.
tax receiver,
Yeah, the
and
external auditor, no, that's, you know,
That's-
let's change that.
yeah.
Receiver taxes, again, that's also a 5%.
so that's again, what's the,
deputy.
is an adopted, but then
Yeah, so let me go to.
is that as opposed to the
spreadsheet.
actual?
Yes, I'll tell you exactly. what it is. So the actual is 93,750 for the tax receiver. For the deputy, it's 55.
Here's my problem with salaries. And I know, the spheres coming at me through television camera. There, instead of 5% increases, why couldn't we do a 2.5% this year and 2.5% next year?
Whatever.
I'm
the
throwing it
difference is.
out there as an idea, not as a final number, but I'm just saying,
I mean, I
if
can,
we split it over 2 years.
That's
some
less than
people-
the.
less than the unions.
My-
Because if you take into, yeah.
My-
We said even if it's 3%, say 3% this year.
Well, my 3.5 is based upon if it's 2.5 to 3 union and plus the addition, get some of the offset. That's how I came up with the random 3.5.
Here's a thought. What if we look at the spreadsheets two different ways, one with 2.5 and one
Can I-
with
I-
4?
I can do that right now. Okay, so I structured this other spreadsheet that's up on the screen where I can
Okay.
plug in. Hold on a second, I can plug in here.
Can you do?
So if I say, let's say we go to 3%, okay? So 3% for the non-union employees. That's a savings of 18,338. Now, if I go back to here. We're at, what did I say we're at now? The tax rate 5.45.
Yeah,
So if I go to here and I remove that 18,338 from, I'll just pick this line item. 18,338. Okay. that tax rate becomes 5.183.
What about the 30,000?
So, we're not
What about
talking
the
about a
30,000? You were taking that out?
Can you just, yeah,
You were at the
for
thir- you were-
argument's sake.
You were taking the 30,000 for the clerk, which was at a 5.0, so with another 18,000, it should bring it below 5.
No, wait, hold on a second. Oh, if I take out okay, gotcha, hold on.
Also,
So for
not a
the-
lot.
So let me take out another, I'll just do it in this line.
Yeah.
Minus 30,000. So that brings us down to a tax rate of 4.74.
What's 3.5 look like? You were at the 3, so what does 3.5 look like?
Can you, instead of 3.5,
Into
just
the 40s.
4, please do 4.
Or it's basically is 8,427. So if I go here. And include the $30,000.
Yeah, leave that
Reductions.
person out.
So the tax rate is now 4.891.
At the 4, right?
At 4% raise.
So picking up on what Dan said, I guess
So
I'm
I'm gonna put these numbers back because I don't want to set my spreadsheet.
So picking up on what Dan said, we look at the on the revenue projection side, is there anything that's overly conservative?
On the revenue side,
Yeah,
We-
I'm sorry. Please continue.
I'd like to get rid of, like, I hate to say this, I think we need to cut the line for TAPC. I also.
oh, we didn't get there yet, so let's.
What?
Okay.
I'm sorry, you cut the line for what?
That's
Drug Abuse
$6,500.
Prevention Council.
It's been a whole nother year and I've seen nothing except an email that happened to come conveniently before today that says, oh, by the way. we're
Well, it was an
gonna
email
be
that
adding-
came a couple weeks ago. It just got buried in my inbox. But when I spoke to you yesterday, you were
From the
triggered.
front of the. Yeah.
Correct.
I'm kind of done right now. That's $6,500 over the course of the past 3 years
Mm-hmm.
of programming that I spoke to Andrew Selesnik yesterday
Mhm.
and he would leave. So
Well, so
no.
they've communicated with the school about being able to utilize the school's communication system to message these programs and whatever initiatives they put in
Right,
place.
and the money
So the
was-
school agreed to do that.
It's fine. I would-
Since the woman from the APC spoke to them. I actually had spoken to them myself. I was there
Alan,
for a
what's
different
his
meeting.
name?
Tammy. The woman that lives in Lewisboro, what's her name? It's Tammy.
Tammy.
So she asked me,
Mhm.
because I was gonna meet with the school regarding that supervisors meeting regarding their bond, capital improvement bond. And I took that opportunity to talk to them about that,
And you
and they were
could,
receptive. And Tammy followed up with them,
And
followed up with somebody, I don't know, I forget who she told me, but yeah.
I guess Andrew's question, what's the $6,500 going to?
It's been nothing for the past
Yeah.
2 years. That's
Yeah.
really about to.
So who's the liaison to the APC?
I am, but because I am
So
not a
what's-
liaison to the school district, and because we decided I wasn't liaison, because I have a personal conflict of interest.
Right.
Mary and I were working together on this.
Right. Right,
yeah,
but
Well, I don't think.
Tammy knew that part.
It's not time to
Right, so-
give up on this thing as inefficient as it may have been up to now, but. If you just think of what's going on in the world and every day reading about.
No, I
About new
agree with that,
stressors and
and
all
that's why
that.
I voted yes. We voted for it last time. That's why I voted yes, and I remained hopeful. And
well,
it disappointed again.
Yeah.
okay, can we try and
How about
find
you two?
some more hope?
How about you two connect with Ellen in Bedford? Set up a call with her. She
Okay.
may be able to give you an update. I know she's still on top of things there.
Okay.
Since
I thought
Bedford
she was
is
the
sort of,
chairperson anymore, but we are getting
Who?
beyond sound.
who's not the chairperson?
We can just move along on the budget.
Yeah. Okay,
The next,
so the next is so we talked about.
we were talking about the receiver of taxes and then we did the 4% difference. So the next would be
Oh,
the assessor, who is, that's
Yeah.
That's,
Is that,
assessments, so that's.
I'm seeing again, based upon adopted and requested. I'm seeing
Yeah,
for
so let me go
assessor, 88,500 to 96,650, and for assistant,
That's in-
26 to
It's
53.
actually, the actual for the assessor is 92,050.
Okay, and what about for the assistant? What's the
ass-
actual?
The assistant, the assistant is a union position.
okay, so we can't
So
touch that
don't
line.
go by that, yeah.
So it doubled, is
Um,
that right?
No,
hold on a second. Salary had been split between building department and assessment in 2022.
Right, she was splitting her time. between-
So Leo moved all her salary into 2023, so that's why the difference.
So then there
so
should be a
it's
not,
not gonna show up in the building department.
Right.
Correct,
So that's not a savings, that's
correct.
just a
And
flat
that's-
line.
Right, and that's.
So we can't cut anything from
53,560.
that.
The requested is the union salary that we just came to terms with.
Okay,
All right, so her salary last year was double the 26,200, because it was split 50-50 between building and assessor.
it
right?
wasn't double. That's what she got, half from
She got
the
half.
building
She-
department, half
Oh, so
from the
26
assessor,
26,000 was her full salary.
from the assessor.
From the assessor.
She also got
She also got
23,
So it wasn't
26.
Okay, that's my question.
Yeah,
So that's
she
what-
got
that's
26 from the building
Building
department. as
department.
well.
She got half.
Yeah,
So this number, technically, if we're comparing what her salary is from last year.
it's the exact same.
It's
it's just putting the
Well,
entire cost in,
in
even though
one
it's broken
So,
down.
so her salary last year was 50,253.
That's like.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so deputy town clerk,
Hold on, we'll get down to the town clerk now, okay?
what's the
So that was,
actual,
yeah, so the
because it says 52,773,
town clerk was
59,8.
96,450.
No, not town clerk, deputy. There's no issue.
The
with that.
deputy town clerk was 56,000. Is the actual 2022.
56,000. So
So
why
in
is
the
it,
tentative?
Yeah.
It was, basically, the town clerk was getting 4%, the deputy town clerk was getting 6.8.
this doesn't look like 4%,
Um,
97,350 to, is that 4%? Doesn't look it.
yeah, if you take the 100,300 versus the actual was.
It's less than, it's
was
2950, it's
242.
$2,950.
It's right here in the
3,800.
spreadsheet. It's 3.99%. So if I take, so.
It's not right, the 97,350 to one.
So one
No, it's
100,300
96,450.
minus 96,450 gives you the difference, and then you subtract, you
I'm s-
divide that by.
Okay, I'm seeing 97,350 is what's
So
here.
it's 3.83.
97,350 is.
Again, this is that situation where the actual is different than the
Right.
adopted.
Oh, so yours and Janet's are actually less. Is that what you're saying? The only people in town
No,
where it's actually less?
actually, the deputy was higher than the actual.
But Janet and yours was less in the actual.
No, so
Less than the
in
budget.
terms of their salary increase for 2023, the town clerk was gonna have a 3.99% increase, 4%, let's call it. The deputy town clerk was 6.8. That was the requested, we adjusted, so they're both at 5%. So that's the adjustment that's made here. The look here at this, it's on the screen. That's this adjustment, so we bumped up the town clerk 975 and we took away 1,000 from deputy town clerk, just to
Yeah, but that's
Have the
97,350, right?
forget about that. That
Forget about the
adjustment-
actual number. That was
Forget about
okay.
that, again, it's what I explained before, we're going
That
by
was
the
budgeted,
calculations
the
to come
actual.
up with a 5% increases based on the actuals.
Right, okay.
Okay, here. the gray is the actual. And to get that to 5%, I had to subtract or add to the total $975.
Right, so it's-
I said town clerk. So she went up to 101,275.
Okay, that's,
Okay.
there it is. It was on the back end. It's 101 then.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the answer. It was because I was looking at the 100, 300, it seemed low for that. So
Yeah.
it just wasn't the right number. That's,
Right.
The webmaster number, that's a new.
So the webmaster, that's not new. That's a stipend for
The extra
webmaster.
work.
It was in another place or something.
It was, it's not again, John, 2,500 was, yeah.
In our opinion, Jen's salary is very low compared to other towns, compared to a new employee that was hired last year, making more than Jen. And Jen's been here 10. So what Leo decided to do, we used to have a webmaster line that was separate, a stipend.
Mhm.
That's what he decided to do, put it in as 3,000 last year. This year, what he's gonna do is take 500 every year, put it into her salary. So eventually that stipend will go away and it'll be added to her salary.
So it was 3,000 last year?
Correct.
she's gonna pull 500 each year to the increase and then in 6 years, the stipend will go, the line will be at, but it'll be 3,000 towards the salary,
And it'll just become part of the job duties.
which it is already.
So she's
And it
already
has
doing
been,
it.
and it has. But if you look at the salary comparisons.
Yeah.
To other towns. it's
So what
not-
can we just take off the 3,000 line and just give it?
You could, sure. And put it into their salary, but. You know,
So why don't we just do that? She's doing the job now, so, and we're budgeted, so it's neutral just to give her the money for what she's,
And it doesn't
Doing.
go- Yeah.
Because-
That could, the thing
Because
doesn't
there-
go away, what you just described doesn't go.
Right now, she would be getting a raise
Okay.
and she gets to use the stipend. So if you fully absorb it, then she gets one big raise.
correct, and I guess.
But and the issue also is the optics of that, right? So right now, the way it is, it's 5% across the board. Now, if you have an employee that's gonna be getting 5%.
well, this is also from what Janet just said, somebody else is hired and in not the optics, but the reality is she's underpaid vis-a-vis somebody who was just hired as opposed to somebody who's been doing it for 10 years.
And that's what we have the issue.
I mean, I like the idea of the stipend. I mean, and she's doing even more, thanks to me. With the
Yes,
webmaster
A
stuff.
lot more.
So,
No offense.
so I think she deserves the stipend and, yeah. The raise stays consistent.
Either way.
Well, she's getting the money.
Right. Either way,
Right.
she's getting
Either
money.
way, she's getting one.
And that's why I was willing to take a lesser raise and give her a bigger raise, and that's how it's. But it's you can consistently.
Yeah.
Do 5% across the board, which that's fine.
Yeah.
For this exercise.
And we keep the stipend.
Okay,
So
we're good.
So did we decide to take that stipend, put it in her salary and take
I would say keep it as a
Web
stipend.
away? Okay,
I would say keep it.
okay.
Yeah,
One more year.
and then we'll. Got it next year.
Yeah,
Keep it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so. Almost there. So the other line here is the 20 is the medical benefits. So we do have an increase in 765. Okay,
right, because you said it was, there were.
there were 3 people, so one of them is in clerk's office, yeah. And just going through facilities manager, this is shared services. This is, Joe said that this was really him. It was another stipend that he, since he retired, he decided he no longer should get this. So he offered to take this off.
Where are we looking?
I'm sorry, if you keep scrolling down to the next section. Well, I'm sorry, so, all right, let me just go through. Yeah, so we finished with the town clerk, then you have the attorney
Mhm.
for the town, that didn't change. After the attorney, you have the engineer, that's the planning board and town retainer for colored sessions.
Now, what's, that's on,
1440, engineer. Just continue down from where we ended with the town clerk.
Town clerk,
I had,
then we go with town attorney, then we have engineer,
Right. And then you have
then we have
elections,
election,
and again, that's a stipend to the town clerk. for the work
Public
of
town, right?
elections.
I had a question about engineer, which I just want to get back to the page. I'm sorry, I lost track of that.
It's above shared services, it's here. Elections,
It's actually above the elections.
records it's above,
Yeah.
oh, there.
so-
Planning
No,
board.
but engineer, I may add an engineer question.
Okay.
Where's that line?
That is the line,
Right there.
engineer.
And
And
you
it-
turn to the
and it
next page,
changes
it's
the-
very
Okay,
top.
that's why it
right
was
there.
messing me up, okay. So. The 57, I'm sorry, 7,500. Oh, wait,
57,500,
yeah, the 57.5, what does that incorporate? That's the base retainer?
that's the base retainer for colored sessions.
So what about, where is there reference to any additional monies paid to Kellogg Sessions during the course of the year? Where does that reflect? Because, for example, we've mentioned two things here tonight. We've mentioned the input for the November 10th letter referable to the Oak Ridge capacity issue.
Mhm.
And we've also mentioned the second thing with taking a look at the tennis courts.
Right.
Right? So
That
there's two
was all,
things.
that was all done under this retainer,
Okay, so there's no additional expenditures
No.
on that.
correct?
So have there been any additional costs during
Well,
this year aside from their basic retainer?
When they do reviews from applications that are related to wetlands,
And that's the escrow stuff.
that's the escrow stuff where the applicant
Yeah.
puts money into
They get
escrow
paid out of
and
escrow,
they get paid out of the escrow.
so no additional cost to the town,
Correct.
is what,
That's my
That's
question, right?
correct.
and with the town attorney.
Correct.
They do the MS4 stuff.
Right, that's all included in
It's
this.
all in there.
So the total town expenditure is the 57.5.
Right.
Anything else that they may earn doesn't come out of the town's pocket is what we're just
correct.
clarifying.
Right.
Okay, thanks.
Then we have, again, elections. Elections, okay, records
Let's get rid of
management.
the elections. we don't-
Yeah. we-
Don't even.
And
Then
then,
we go down to the facilities
well,
manager, right?
records management is another stipend to
Right.
clerk's office, and then we're shared services, yeah, so facilities, so Joe, you recommended removing the 2,500. You recommended removing 9,600 for seasonal help.
Kudos to Joel because his proposed budget was below last year's, I believe.
Yes.
Right, so you want to remove both those ones, the 2,500 there, any seasonal help, take those out,
Correct.
so that reduces it even further, right?
It's a reduction of 12,100. So his line is 748,080 about for 2023.
Where does his IT stuff come in?
His IT stuff is, I think he's got another. This is not. It's somewhere else.
Only because he did awesome. I called him with a couple of things. It took like 5 minutes to
Yeah, no. he's-
square it up with me.
Okay, so central printing and mailing, contracted expenses, yeah. Here's technical services. So this is Joel, 200, stays the same. Videotaping, that's like what that's Sean's doing right now.
Thank you, Sean.
Actually,
The Warner Wolf line.
I'm sorry, the technical services are zero. You dropped it to it's zero, sorry. And videotaping is 5,200. Computer equipment, that's 21,000, it stays the same. This is the cost of the equipment. Then you have license fees. Software license fees. Yeah, so that's. Yeah, so,
We can't change that.
yeah. So that's, so then you have LCTV. No change there. That's the cable TV stuff. Access channel.
Right, the rest of it looks kind of the same.
Insurance went up. Property and casualty, that was the number provided by Leo. I think he said we were actually over budget this year.
What is it? Property and casualty?
Yeah. And then we have municipal dues, that's the Association of Towns.
On the, I have a property and casualty just popped into my mind on the
Okay.
property and casualty.
Uh-huh.
Could you just ask Leo if, and I don't know if that's even a possibility for a municipality, can we adjust our deductible for anything? Where would we do that?
Where it would reduce the
Where reduce the premium?
premium?
That's a question for Leo, honestly.
What's that?
It's
That's
a
a question
Leo
for Leo.
question.
No, I was looking at you if is there anything preventing us? In other words, the municipality, you can't have,
Well,
is there an issue as far as not having a certain deductible? In other words, for my
can't
auto
imagine.
insurance, if I
Actually-
adjusted mine,
the property and casualty, Mary manages that, I'll have her.
Yeah.
Over the insurance.
Can't
company.
imagine. that
yeah, in the property
legally
casualty, there
you're
may not be
prevented.
any, at all, as opposed to, the auto.
And we lower. Okay, that's a good question.
And also see if there's any discount for, I don't know, for our record is with that stuff. No, I mean, as far as
No
Oh, yeah,
comments.
for. Yeah.
like auto stuff.
Judgments and claims, 1,800, that's the tax certs and. Things like, when we did the. Title search recently for that beach property, that's included in here. MTA commuter tax. That's something that's been there for 20 years now. And that's handled by, I found out today, I'm talking to you about it, through ADP. Actually, the town pays for this and ADP does the, I guess they move the payment to the MTA.
So with the fund balance restoration,
So yeah, so that's the contingency line, right? So last year we had 175,000. This year Leo's proposing 115,000. This is one of the areas where, all right, we could remove that, but we don't know what's going to happen with the health insurance. So when we get to closer to December, I think we're going to find out what the health insurance premiums are going to be.
wasn't
then
Cindy
we can make
talking
that
about like
adjustment.
some webinar when that comes out?
That's what Cindy was saying, yeah, earlier.
30th or December 1?
Yeah,
So we'll know that before
before
December 5th.
Before we
we'll know
have
that.
to finalize. Right.
Yeah,
So we're not actually, so that fund restoration means we're not putting any, it's scheduled for 115,000. So as
right,
it
we're
stands to
allocating 115,000.
put into that,
Correct.
that's not actually, so we're not adding to our fund balance. In other words, let's say we had it as 0. That just means we're not
So-
adding to we're not taking any money out. We're just not adding to the
Well,
fund balance, right?
we would add if there's no other, for example, if there's no raises to the unions and if there's no increase to health medical premiums, then you would have 115,000 allocated here into the fund.
What I'm
balance,
saying is
which is
before,
not,
right, but what I'm saying is, I guess we'll see what the numbers are, but I mean, that's something we're just not putting additional more in the bank as it were. So we're not taking anything out.
yeah,
really.
we're just, right. We're
We're
just,
just,
we're
we're not increasing our savings balance. as it
We're
were.
saying that we have 115,000 that we can take. We can tap in 115,000 to pay for these unknowns.
It's like a rainy day fund.
Yeah, this is an expense item. Right?
Well,
For
we
the
already
NRs.
have a, but that's in addition to the 4 million we have.
This
That's
is
right.
coming out of the 4 million that,
No, it's
no,
adding
I'm
on
sorry,
top of the
this
4
is
million.
adding, yeah, this is adding on top, you're right. Correct. So it's an expense item here, it's from a budget perspective, but it's adding to the.
Right, essentially you're adding another 3% to that.
Yeah. So we're having taxpayers pay $115,000 to put into our fund balance for these other contingencies.
So it doesn't deplete it, we're just adding to it.
Right.
Yeah, so we'll see where we are December 1, because that,
Yeah.
maybe that's another,
Mhm.
because if we get half of that, which would be another 1%. Because the 60 grand would be, it's, if we took half of that, 57.5. Depending on how the numbers look, that would be another, probably 0.9 or 1% off.
Well,
of the,
if you take 60,000 off, you mean?
Yeah, if you took half that, if you took 57.5, that'll probably
Minus 57.5.
be a 0.8, 0.9, I guess.
Well, ultimately,
4.6.
I would not
Drop down to
be
4.6.
against. You know, after the dust settles, leaving this line at 0. Because it's fund balance restoration, and we have a fund balance now.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sorry, say it again, that you would be okay with making it 0?
yeah,
Okay.
I mean, after,
After we,
see what shakes out,
what's
right.
going on.
yeah,
yeah, so.
So let's take dancing. So let's say it changes
Take
to
it
the
out.
115. Let's see what would that, depending how we shake it out. So we're not adding to the fund.
so
balance.
if you take that out, your tax rate is now 3.896,
Oh, baby.
and we need another $115,000 reduction to get to the tax cap.
I'm still where I am on roads, so.
I think,
Well, that.
Dan, I think we all.
That
are.
ties into, no, but that ties into your capital thing, because we, in the initial discussion from Leo. He was talking about how we were retiring something, a bond, right? We were retiring some bond in 2023. And if we did something on it by way of what you're talking about, like capital expenditure. Where we keep the long-term debt at that same level, that gives us an opportunity as a capital expenditure for highway stuff, right?
See if we can find that schedule.
Does that make sense what I said?
Oh, yeah, if the bond repayment schedule is such that, you know, in. the
23, in 23
following
you said.
year, we're losing, you know, $200,000 debt service. We could consider putting $200,000 from.
What we would have
our
spent on
surplus
debt service.
into, you know, capital stuff, or into the budget, and then it'll.
See what
it
that
won't
buys
be a
us.
whole relative to that.
We see what that buys us,
So let me-
even with
let me
the
see
interest
if I
rate
can
adjustment,
find
because the
that
total
number.
amount is the same.
Yeah.
Right.
So can you, on that point, in prep for December 5th, can you talk to Leo, like if we were to. The amount that we're retiring in 2023. What that would buy us. If we bonded at current rates
So you mean,
on road,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
so basically it's savings on the debt service.
Right, in other words, so in 2023, let's say our debt, I'm just picking arbitrary numbers. So in 2023, our debt service goes down 200,000. If we were to rebond at the same amount to keep the debt service at the same level, what would that get us in the
Why don't
current
you
market?
bonds, pull it out of the surplus.
Let's do it that way.
Bond, you're just paying bond expenses for that.
We don't,
Just pull it out of the surplus.
yeah.
Okay.
So we have, and we'll get to it, but there is a serial bond principal and interest line. Which is 344,000. There's a band principal of 129,900. And a band interest of 12,675. So your question is, so I think he's reflected that already. Here for 2023, so.
Is it 2023 where that was being realized?
Yeah, so he went like the bond principal and interest went from 352 to 344,000.
No, it goes down a lot more than that. It goes down by like 150 or 200,000 or
So we should
something.
clarify those numbers with Lee.
Yeah,
see what that
hold
is.
on, let me see. Here's
So why would he reflect that here?
because I don't think that's when it goes down. It's not happening.
Maybe it goes down after 2023.
I can read this.
Yeah, so that's a legal question. So
Someone wants to be let in.
someone needs to be let in, where? Oh. Sorry, I thought you meant the door.
No,
Yeah,
no, the
debt
door is
service.
unlocked.
Here it is.
Okay, so. Yes,
Debt service in 2022 is 1,134,460.
1,134,460, is that what you said?
So
1,134.
this was issued, now this is stale, though, so we gotta double check. This is given to us in January 2020. But yeah, and then it goes down to 846,000, so that's a
As of when?
big, as of 2023.
So that's what you're talking about. So there's the difference. There's your,
So that's
That's the
150.
other-
reflected in there
that's
based
one,
on
that's
this.
180, it's about 188.
Oh, we've done some borrowing since then, but I don't know. if it's-
That's right. We did
So
some borrowing earlier this year.
we need an updated schedule, but anyway, in principle. If it's-
And
if it's
interest.
getting jogged down and it's not happening, until whenever.
Okay.
Play with that a little bit.
So you're talking about just sort of minimize the expense to take out
That's
that debt
the-
service reduction, just to take it out of the,
Yeah, that's to say, if we were to just pull out of the surplus and that was not happening, we end up with this hole in our budget. But if we know a year from now, we're getting a bump in the other direction because of the debt service, then, okay, you're.
No, I got what you're saying. So
your real
it's-
budget stays
so
flat.
So it's a debt service wash essentially, but using that X dollar to pay towards highway infrastructure.
Notice you're kind of accelerating the benefit of the debt reduction. If it's going down, say it's going down in 2024, we know that's coming, it's gonna be essentially a permanent reduction. But we're saying, okay, well, we're gonna take some surplus and start that reduction next year. At least we know we're not just buying ourselves
We have a
into hole
it's a-
because
It's
we
a,
know there's. income coming.
it's a finite time
Yeah.
gap when you know it's gonna be.
It's kind of like a
It's
a
It's a
debt
short
reduction
finance.
anticipation. Whatever.
Okay.
Okay, so,
So we need to just verify the schedules.
Second, is that gonna be on the quiz? That quiz?
all right, so we're moving on. So that's the fund balance restoration. So.
All right, so you're gonna check the updated
Yeah, updated
numbers
schedule.
from, Dan, you had from 2020, right? And then-
It was-
This was 2020.
January
Yeah.
2020.
Okay.
So we talked about the police, so let me just quickly go skip that.
So we left that someone who's gonna check with Dave on that.
I know.
Okay, right, and the 80 and the 35, right?
Yeah.
Great.
And then we have, control of dogs, that doesn't change. Building inspector, again, this was based on, this was just request for next year was 115,000. I brought it back to 110 because that's what we agreed to amount with the new guy that we're looking to bring on board.
Is that reflected in the numbers already?
That is reflected in the preliminary budget, correct?
And now with the, deputy building inspector, well, we have that agreement.
We don't-
They have to start at a lower rate in the contract, so.
We do, but right now we're working with these plan reviewers, these outside guys,
Right.
which gives us the benefit of utilizing multiple people to do the plan reviews. And we don't have to, because they're not,
I'm just saying, I'm just talking about the money allocation.
correct. So the allocation I'd like to still leave there.
It's 92.
Yes,
Opposed to 84, because if we were
Well-
hiring the deputy building inspector, it would have to be at the lower rate.
correct. It would be the, correct, but then you still, to get somebody, they're not gonna wanna come at, that happens to us. We're already bringing an ABI that Jeff recommended,
No.
and he didn't want the
No, I-
80%
I
of that
understand.
92. So I don't want to lower it here because we may need to pay them a stipend to bring them back up to 92.
Okay. Understood.
So that's that. Everything else is pretty straightforward. Now we get to the registrar of vital statistics stipend. That's also the clerk's office, is that correct?
Correct. Let's
Yes.
split that with Jen.
Correct, okay,
Those are for death certificates.
right. Okay. And then we have advanced life supporting. This is for WEMS, Westchester EMS. So this does reflect the new 2023 budget that they presented to us. So that's the amount we pay to have
And we don't want to cut
advanced
that.
life support, ALS, yeah,
Who are we paying?
Westchester EMS.
And that, is that a Westchester County agency or just? What is
They-
it actually?
They are stand, I think, not for profit organization, standalone.
They're-
It's like a shared service kind of
They
thing.
provide advanced life support services, ambulances, basically. Our ambulance guys like LVAC do basic life support.
Right.
These guys provide advanced life support. And they have somebody stationed at LVAC.
Mhm.
So there's always a vehicle there.
Anything.
When I say always,
$274,000.
right,
Wow, okay.
yeah.
Wait, so they,
That's-
There's a breakdown. I can share that with you. There's a breakdown across the
It's
municipalities.
what it is. It's a
Yeah.
cost that it is what it is, but
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what that is.
how does that get? That's, is all municipalities in Westchester have that?
The presentation that I attended, there was several municipalities. I can share that information with you guys, but it's not all because some municipalities use different services. Or they may have their, they have other third-party ambulance services. But for Northern Westchester, they cover, North Salem, Lewisboro, Pound Ridge. I believe Somers, I think they can go as far as Yorktown, Bedford.
So this is a northeastern Westchester, in other words, and the payments. How do they calculate that? Is it based upon population or based upon area?
Yeah, there's a formula they use. It is based on population. That's one of the factors. I believe that may be the only factor they use is population. But I can share that with everyone.
Because essentially there's a charge per person based upon whatever census or something. Kind of thing.
Let me verify. I
Yeah,
don't want
okay,
to
yeah.
give you wrong information, but I believe it is population based. I went to their presentation when they presented this new budget and I gave the information to you, which is why you plugged it into here. But during that presentation, they went through the breakdown across municipalities and also stats on the number of calls by municipality and
And so if there's insurance, is my last question, is if there's insurance that somebody has, right? Does that get, does that get reimbursed?
I don't
What
know.
happens on,
I know
I don't
that
LVAC does, I believe.
right, LVAC doesn't charge you unless you have. They
Yeah,
won't
they
charge you,
charge you if you have insurance.
bill
paying
down.
for the ride, right?
Okay.
I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
I have to find out.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So we're just checking the math on it for this
Okay.
big number.
speaking as someone who works in the healthcare business, I would strongly recommend keeping advanced life services for our neighbors and loved ones.
Well, I'm not talking about getting rid of it. I just want to make sure we're being charged the right amount.
No, I
That's
Oh, no,
all.
this is-
fully
well,
respect it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Every year they give us what the number is and that's the number that we plug into the budget.
That was just, oh, you guys are in Lewisboro? I thought you
But
guys
they
were,
explain in
you
the
know,
presentation to all the municipalities, they explain how they came to that number. And I believe it is based on
yeah, just check their math, that's all. That's
consensus.
good.
Yeah. And here we have the APC, which we spoke about, so that's something that you guys will follow up. I would suggest calling Ellen in Bedford since they're spearheading this. And then we talked about highway, did that already.
Well, the secretary for the 2021 pilots, making ways and numbers.
Secretary to the superintendent, so that's Cheryl again, that's a union. So but let me go to that other spreadsheet. I kept it here.
Right, there's gotta be something wrong with the numbers, because it's going from the 44 to the 44. So it's gotta be,
She's not a,
44,316 is the union number.
all right,
I'm
That's the
sorry, wait
union.
a second. 44.
316.
316, sorry, is the union number.
Wasn't she was shared with financial or something?
Correct.
So is maybe that.
yeah, because that's
Not
double,
so-
if that's fully funded through there and she's split, is she being split? Where's
Hold
the?
on a second. Hold on.
I just.
Isn't the building, it wasn't in the building?
That was Donna Orban, assessors and building.
Okay,
Here, let me just see something. Hold on.
Just saying the way it looks on paper is not.
So. Oh, no, she had, hold on a second. She had 11K, 14K for finance. So just write out a little thing here. So adjusted. So 63,316. 63,316. Let me just keep that one in mind. I have a copy of the MOA here. 60. Yeah, 63,316 is her union rate. So now if you take this number here, 44316. You take 63,316 minus this number, which is 44316. That's 19. 63,316 minus 44,316, which is the line here for the under highway.
so it's
Secretary.
19,
That leaves 19,000.
okay,
Minus 44,316. Yeah, that's 19,000. 11,000 that goes to finance as the account clerk, so minus 11,000. Now remember. That leaves 8,000, which is a number that under shared services up above. Wait a second, which is for supporting the maintenance department.
Okay, so basically her entire salary being reflected here,
No, that's part of it.
okay.
So her entire salary is split between 3 different places.
So I understand,
Yeah.
I was just trying to, I was wondering why it goes from 34,973 to 44,316 here. It's basically an increase of $10,000 in the salary line in highways, so I figured that must be some sort of discrepancy.
So this is the way we split, Leo split her salary. He
Okay.
put most of it here because that's where most of her work is.
Okay, got it.
But the bottom line is that the 3 components adds up to what's in the memorandum of agreement with the union, which is 63,316.
Got it. Okay, understood. Got it.
So. Okay. And then, yeah, and then we have the hospital or medical benefits here, which I mentioned before. Street lighting, street lights. Yeah, that doesn't change.
That the electricity from the street lights? Or,
That,
Right, Jack?
repair?
I think that's, I believe that is it's not the Wild Oaks district. I think it's the expense for the streetlights. I
We,
think that we pay. I'm pretty sure that's what that is, street lighting.
You want the code?
I can verify that with you. I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Up to 7.
Yeah, I mean, well, we just had night cycle redo them. And this thing,
Well, not just, that was a couple years back, right? 3 years maybe?
No, they're in the process of doing it right now. I was under the
No.
impression.
Not the streetlights, but go ahead.
yeah, I'm just curious, like, well, anyway, let's confirm what that is.
Yeah.
And they're looking into the streetlights.
Hey, Sean, Joel's not here, right? He's not upstairs, is he? He might be. Can you check if he knows about this, the streetlights? You don't know, just ask him. The street, that's $10,000 for street lighting. Or just text them. Yeah. And then we spoke about recreation already. This changes.
We did the salary for daycare council going up for that.
I think they're trying to make minimum wage.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
is an increase for getting close to minimum wage, yeah.
And the same for the pool and lifeguard people.
Correct.
Did they not fill positions? Because that's a 90 grand increase.
They didn't,
Streetlights, yeah, $10,000. Is that what we pay?
They
That's
were
the
short.
utility bill?
That one is, streetlight, that's not Wild Rose.
No, it's not.
It's under highway, it's under highway.
It is. Okay, that's what I thought.
It's electricity.
So here it is, yeah, it's street lighting. It's not on the highways, actually. It's under
Oh, wait,
It's
am I
on-
looking at the wrong street light?
street lighting, yeah, but it's not under.
Oh,
It's a
oh,
separate.
oh, okay. I'm
Yeah.
just seeing that, but, all right, well, then that.
So that's what we pay for
That's
lighting the street light for.
Everything except Wild Rose.
Right, exactly. Okay.
Yeah, we have our own district.
That's the whole town, yeah, 684 lights, we got a bunch of them there, with
Yeah.
pay for all those too.
Do we like lock in a rate? Is that why it's not going up?
It usually, that's the actual number comes in just below 10,000 last year.
So we pay, town pays for lights on 684?
Yeah, in Lewisboro, yeah.
State doesn't pay for that?
No,
Oh, that's interesting. I did not know that.
in fact, we actually own them now, all those big aluminum poles. One of them fell down and nice thing said, we signed those over to you. We didn't know, so we own all those poles.
So are we obligated to light up 684 and pay for it? As opposed to the state, it's a state road.
Well,
You gotta go.
It's a good thing we don't have to
Sure,
pay
sure.
it.
your residents are trying to navigate there. when you
yeah,
take
I don't mean it should be a state thing,
Anyway,
that's all.
we should change this so it's a street light electricity or something.
Yeah, we could change that. Label.
But it does seem to me if that's based on last year's rates, that rates have gone up.
Right, yeah.
I mean,
we could easily put a 2 instead of a 1.
So, all right, so going down to the rest of parks. Playgrounds and day camp. Yeah, again, that's day camp counselors. It's a major first of all.
Well, that's just that's the
Four
phase in
years.
of New York's, right, it's what is the 5-year phase in? Because that came up with the library
Mhm.
Right,
staff also, right?
exactly.
This is like the last year, right? Isn't it?
Well, you
Phase
have
in?
to, it's really astonishing that they're only paid $15 an hour.
I think this is the last, right? This is the
Yeah.
last year, of the phase in of the
Right.
increase from the rest.
Apologize, everybody for my back.
So, yeah, the pool, salaries and wages, yeah. Yeah, again, same thing. I think for pool directors and head guards, they're looking to add. So they're looking to add another guard and another director.
Do we have a problem? We have a problem in the summer, like every place, right? When kids go back to school. and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like August, mid-August.
And then they have the temerity of graduating. So then we have to find new people as well.
Yes.
Okay, so everything else is.
All right, nobody has any
Pool
questions?
chemicals went up, that's another line that went up 18 to 25,000. That's the major increase there. Tennis facility, a tennis instructor. Court repairs and.
What is the tennis, what is the tennis, I've seen it on there for 20 years. Do we have a person who's dedicated?
Apparently we do, yeah. I don't know if it's one person or multiple people, but we do have tennis instructors.
And meaning, what does that
Assume there's
mean?
a revenue.
It's,
revenue side
yeah,
to that.
the
Yes.
little ones learn.
So
how
if I
play.
want to take, if I'm going to high school, when there's a court open, and I want to have tennis instructor, what happens?
If you're in high school,
If you're in high
then
school, you
you
go to
do it
use-
through the athletic
high school.
department.
No, on this, I'm saying, what?
How do you take advantage of the service?
Right.
You reach out to the Parks and Rec.
Why don't you call up and see? Can we move on to the next line in the budget? It's past my bedtime. Let's go, people.
You know, yeah, my watch is telling me it's,
What time
you
do
know,
use?
time to wind down.
Mine already told me it was my bedtime. Okay.
Yeah, contractual, yeah, the ski trips, the LES gym rental is there.
I don't have any questions about any of the Parks and Rec stuff. Does anybody else?
No,
Program for the
Okay.
aging, this doesn't change.
No? Well, some of, it went up a little bit, but not that much.
Yeah.
I mean, gasoline costs
Yeah.
more
Do we
money.
get planning board secretary? Do we get the actual on that one? Because that's reflecting,
Are you, is that,
Are you skipping the rest of the?
you're skipping?
I don't know.
Program for the aging.
So the senior bus driver there is
That one, no.
there's a bump up in
7,500.
the hourly rate. According to the notes from Nicole. Yeah, there was an hourly rate increase.
How many senior bus drivers?
It's
do you
one
have?
person.
Just-
Michael. No?
No,
This is
What's her name?
Doreen.
Doreen, I think.
Okay.
But Doreen also knows everybody, and I think it's important to recognize the work that she does. She also is helpful
they're
in driving
increasing our
people,
gym
not
rental
just
rate? School district? is?
Pam.
365, alias gym rent and maintenance. I think it's the maintenance, it's not the rent. I think it's the maintenance. I think she said that that's increased maintenance that they're doing for the schools. Well, no, wait a minute. They Parks and Rec does do some maintenance in terms of cleaning for the programs.
Under the lease, that's where we're obligated
Alias gym
with the
rent,
school district.
contractual expenses. Let me verify that. Gym.
They take care of the gym.
Yeah, that's what yeah.
Clean and disinfect and all that.
Yeah, but there's a bump up from 36,500 to 40,000. I'll ask Nicole. Okay. Adjusted accordingly possible. So we did. You good? Library.
Library.
We talked about that.
Yeah. Cindy answered my questions. They didn't cut anything. They just changed. They increased what their expected revenue was instead of decreasing their expenses. So I think we need to go back to them and ask them to cut expenses. I mean, they're not. I don't do anything.
Well, I think,
Like with the numbers.
yeah, they are working on also increasing donations as well. They've just sent out a letter for their annual.
No, I know, I'm sure they are.
So-
I'm just saying that they're, they want to.
But there are certain things,
$50,000.
right, well, there are certain things they can't cut, like the
You're part of the-
insurance.
And
When
they,
she gave her presentation, she very specifically said what they needed the additional money for, and it wasn't insurance. It was unfortunately for the programs and all of that.
minimum wage, I think, was part of it too.
Maybe, but they didn't. Nothing changed, which they didn't cut what they were spending money on. I would like to hear what they could cut spending money on. and see what they come back with, because they weren't coming in.
Who's the?
They were just trying to increase revenue.
I'll talk with Cindy. I also know that they run a really tight ship and, you know, they ship books to Better World Books to try and sell the books they take out of the collection so they can make money. They print on both sides of the paper. They do a lot of thrifty management. I will reach out to her and discuss.
She raised her hand.
Oh, is she? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's have her answer the question right here.
Those years, so here,
She,
yeah,
no,
when that-
Yeah, and then she's going. Cindy, I'm asking you to unmute.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I did not mention that programs had gone up. I said specifically this evening, I mentioned utility costs and building repairs is specifically what I mentioned tonight. I did not, we have not raised our program costs.
No, I said when you made your presentation. which was
Yes,
Several weeks ago.
we did not raise programs at that time. No, that was not part of it.
And the building expenses, some of that is starting to kick in because we had a new building and now things are starting to age.
well, we
Correct.
had the renovations done back while I was on the board.
That was 7 years ago.
Yeah,
Our HVAC, we've needed a lot of repairs this year that are the walkway is falling apart. Because we're not, ACARC insists we have that bluestone walkway, which takes a lot of maintenance. It's that are the primary costs that are going up is utility costs and building expenses.
Okay. And anything else for Cindy or? No?
Thank you.
Thanks, Sydney. Okay, so we have the Parks and Rec fireworks staff, Memorial Day fireworks, it's all consistent.
Planning department secretary.
Planning department secretary, that's
That's what I was
also,
asking about. What's the,
yeah, that's also the union. Let's see,
So it's just the salary.
60,622, yeah, so that's the
Kirsten
use.
is not just planning board, right?
No, she is. So that's her, yeah.
I thought she was working.
She's doing the steering committee.
Right.
Yeah, but that's, yeah.
there was a,
Oh, and Aquark, yeah, but yeah, those are.
they need some shelving or something. I remember Kirsten was in the office there. Need some space to store stuff.
So we're
Whoa, whoa.
going from 52 to 60. Is that right, or is that a really correct number?
Let's see. Actually. Yeah, she's 52,593. Now, one thing to keep in mind is the 2022 salary is what the union agreement had expired December 2020. So this was the salary in 2020.
Okay.
52,593, that carried through to 2021 as well,
Okay.
and 2022. So now the 2023 salary for the union agreement is 60,
Got it.
62. Okay, so that's, let me go back to that.
Mhm.
On longevity, the longevity, that's not a uniform definition. Is it based upon the applicable, is there a town thing on that, or is it based upon the applicable union?
There
agreement?
is a town, in the town employee handbook, there is a set longevity, but there's also union specific negotiated values. I think we try to keep it within, and I don't know off the top of my head, I mean, I'd have to see what, like, for example, what that would be, but we try to be.
Yeah, just, that's
consistent
just
with
the origin, okay,
Here it
that's
is,
fine.
yeah, so. So with the new union agreement, there's a number from starting with 2021. Which I think closely matches what our employee handbook says. Our employee handbook needs to be updated, I think, for the future years. I believe, but yeah, but there is a number that's negotiable.
I didn't notice anything else that was,
Stormwater environmental consulting, this is another code session thing. So that's where the MS4 work that they do comes in.
Oh, so MS4
So I think
is not
there's-
in,
I believe it's
because that
here.
was,
So
It's
it's
not
not
in
within the
retainer.
57.5 and the
So
retainer.
the MS4, I believe, is under this line item.
okay.
I'll have to verify that.
Okay, it came later. Started using it.
Yeah, because you have the wetlands inspector, which is Jan, so that's also, that's another within Khaled Sessions too.
That's a good point. Yeah, that is, yeah. So,
So we actually have the 57.5 base retainer, and then we have the 28 wetlands inspector.
Can I ask a question?
Mhm. Is there some reason why? I mean, on occasion, a wetland inspector is needed when people submit plans and things of that nature. So why is that fee not included in the fees that they pay? Is there some reason why you pay like a certain amount versus it being offset on a case by case basis?
You mean like through their escrow?
Yeah.
so I think they do for applicant. I don't think this is, and I'll find out, but I don't believe this pertains to applications that come in.
Okay.
I think this is for wetlands inspection. So if someone is violating the wetlands, we send concessions to.
Oh, okay.
And I think if you just have like a standard, like, you come out and see how far you are from the wetlands or something, that's like a simpler wetlands permit, it's part of the building.
Correct, it's part of the
Application
application.
process, and it's like a set fee, $100 or something.
That's the environmental questionnaire, which
Yes,
is to them,
it comes out of that.
Some being made up by the applicants. I'm trying to remember.
but I will get more detail on that.
Just wondering if there was
Yeah.
another or better way to do it. Just-
Yeah. The recycling program. That's,
And our person there is called the recycler. It looks like.
yeah, is that the new guy? Is that's that Bob Corpel, is he?
Yeah, it's the new fellow there, Christian,
Yeah.
very nice young man.
I had contacted last year because they were very concerned that the people that were standing out by the recycling were freezing in the winter time and that they needed heaters or a place to be. I tried to figure out who that was last year, but
Okay, so we
Max
have,
is like, she's
yeah,
I heard it was absolutely fine, whoever it was, that the person, she had something.
okay, so moving on to cemeteries. Well, community beautification, that's party club. It's the. So I can give them, I guess. Cemeteries. Commissioner, that's Steve Johnson, right? The
Yes.
Commissioner.
Mhm.
He's part of what?
The mowing, that's part of your group, right? Joe?
outsourced.
Oh, that's outsourced, okay.
It's in the audit. That was listed in the audit that we just got.
Good point. Yeah. That's right. So, yeah, and then these are the benefits that you can. Okay, 63, unemployment, disability insurance, yeah. Also medical benefits to retirees, 60,000.
Just, Mow, the school district do their own mowing, do you know?
We mow LES, it's part of the agreement. To get the gym,
Right,
take care of the grass there.
and the other schools, how that get done? Yeah, I
All
did.
the other schools?
Yeah,
They
I
do
did.
their own.
They do their own, yeah.
In-house.
But then if we didn't do LES, then
Yeah.
they'd charge us for the gym.
Okay, so now we have the debt service, which spoke about before.
We
And
need
you'll
the
reach
updated
out
number.
to Leo.
Numbers, yeah, so I'm gonna check with Leo on the updated bond schedule. And if there's any impact to the 23 budget with that, right?
Yeah.
So that's it. In a nutshell, so,
All right. So
So
you're gonna
really
give
big
us-
I wouldn't
nutshell.
call that a nutshell. but-
well,
You're gonna
you know
give us
what?
the updated one.
How's the cliff notes work?
I will send this to everybody. Okay,
That's-
so you have this version with these tweets, so this will be what is by or what's the word? Adopted for the public hearing.
Can I throw in?
It won't
we
have that.
have-
You haven't adopted. You have a public hearing set for the fifth. I mean, you could.
We have to set it. We haven't set it.
We have to
Oh,
set
you
it,
didn't set it, but you're setting it for the fifth.
Correct.
You kind of have to because you gotta. be
so
on
this
the
needs to be
20th.
adopted.
So you,
for that.
I mean, you adopt it right before the public hearing? You could, that's not really how you should do it.
Right,
You
so
should
we-
adopt a preliminary budget tonight if you're gonna set the public hearing.
That's what Greg, yeah, when I spoke to Greg about it yesterday, he recommended adopting it tonight.
Oh, I'm glad he didn't contradict what I just said.
No, he didn't, so, but just so everyone understands, it gives, we still have an opportunity to go back.
Oh,
and
absolutely, and
change
after your
numbers.
preliminary, after your public hearing, you still have the
Correct.
opportunity.
Until
after
December
comment,
20th.
Until you adopt your final on December 20th.
Yeah,
So what is the preliminary budget that we would be? We haven't. This is the tentative budget, the preliminary budget, we haven't seen in writing yet.
this is what we just reviewed, so this is it,
We haven't seen it in writing yet. Right, with all the changes that you've made. and-
correct,
And we haven't
Correct.
determined what the salary changes are or aren't going to be.
but we still have time to do that. We can still do that.
But I don't want to adopt a preliminary budget that doesn't reflect those, because that's the budget.
No,
that
we
goes into effect, does it not?
No,
We don't pass the
that's what
budget.
Jen just explained, so the adopted budget is what, that's the final budget that gets filed. We have until
The
December, Go ahead.
tentative budget is what we have,
yeah,
The preliminary budget is what we
Is-
vote on.
is the
it's preliminary.
part B.
Yeah.
That's what we just talked about, but
Yes.
it's still a rough draft.
So the preliminary is what you're setting
These
the
are the
public
notes,
hearing
this is the
on,
timeline.
so. It would be whatever you decide the changes are that Tony presented tonight. Would be what you're putting forth for your public hearing as your preliminary, and then after comment from the public and further deliberation, you, like Tony said, you could have another meeting in between that. You can make any changes you want before you adopt the final.
So what we could do is adopt the preliminary budget, even though parts of it irritate the heck out of us. As is, and then we have the opportunity to fine tune it after the public comment.
Yes, before
Correct.
adopting it by December
Correct.
20th. So
Right.
it's STPA, right? Supervisors, tentative, preliminary, adopted.
It's his preliminary
Correct.
budget.
The order,
Yeah.
yes. And you could have another session if you wanted to, of course, between the
Right.
5th and the 20th, if you felt you needed more deliberation
We could even adopt the tentative budget.
as
As
your
the- as a
preliminary.
preliminary.
Yes, you can.
I don't like either one of them. So there you
But
go.
again, it's not, that's not what's
I-
baked, you
I
know, there's still more baking to be done.
No, but we still haven't, no, but
Trying to do the work on this that we need to do. So when I think we need to do more work, if you want me to vote,
So let's have a session on next Monday.
you know, I would like to hash out a little bit more of this before we go to public hearing. Because I'm really not happy with that as it stands. I understand you made some tweaks and I'm happy about those tweaks.
Mhm.
yeah, so we should, in other words, we can set the hearing for the 5th, or what Andrew's saying, on the 3rd, we should see the document with all the numbers that we've addressed
Very
to see it.
difficult for me. I
Yeah.
need to
So I would.
So you're gonna get,
I
you're
would
gonna get this,
suggest
but
we-
again, it's not, it's not final.
No, but I mean,
but-
this, we're working, it's difficult because
Yeah.
we're working, I mean, the document we're working on doesn't reflect accurate
Right,
numbers.
we're hearing that everybody's uncomfortable, so can we do a session on Monday? You can produce the new document, we'll have it, a few days before then. And
You'll have this document tonight.
Okay, so then we'll be able to study it and
Yeah.
we'll meet again on Monday.
Now, I may do further tweaks if when I talk to people, maybe talk to Leo about.
Well, then I'd like to see, then I'd like to see it
And
after.
then I'll let you guys know.
No, but I'd like to see it after. Then I like to, if you're gonna do more tweaks, fine, but I'd like to
Yes.
have it, in other words.
We,
'cause you-
we should have, we should
So
have
how
the
about this?
information.
Monday,
So we can make the
by-
best
by
decision
Thursday.
possible for all of.
Thanksgiving.
Thursday, Thanksgiving, that's right. I'm not usually thinking those.
I've got a little cooking to do.
I need to see in writing to compare and to ask questions, to do this
Yes,
and and to have you doing the calculations on your laptop and telling me how much, it's killing me. So I want to see, I want to.
I only did the calculations that were requested of me.
No, I
No, but
know.
we, no, but we didn't know, but you, no, but what, no,
Yeah.
but you started off, Tony, you started off by saying you're going back to department heads and then giving us manually the numbers that you incorporated without
Correct.
seeing it in a document. So-
Now you're
let
gonna-
me
now you're gonna see the
propose-
document.
Let me propose, we meet Monday, we make the changes that we discussed today in a document and get them out, right out to us. If you want
This
further
document
tweaks
will go
to
out,
it,
yeah.
you will,
I will inform you.
you'll just send them a message, hey, when we get together Monday, I'm looking at these, I'd like to talk
But,
about.
right,
possible
that's
changes.
fine, agreed,
Right.
but that, I just like that update. If you're gonna
Yes,
give this to us and then
he's gonna-
Tony, you're gonna talk to other people, I'd wanna have the most current version
Okay, yes, I'll do that.
before, before you
All right,
give
but
it to
you
us.
don't, if he's gonna be kind of continuously doing this over the next few days or whatever, then, although Thanksgiving, but I think you're better off just take what's done today. And then Tony can summarize, if he has more discussion between now and Monday, he can summarize them.
Which is by the end of the week, so
you
distribute it
think?
Friday, that's fine, wherever you are Friday, that's all.
Okay, if you want to.
You're getting it tonight. You're getting this tonight. There's not gonna be any, I mean, the tweaks that can happen are with the big items, like the fund balance.
Right, but so take a
contingency
couple of
numbers.
days and get that information and then give us the dot, so in other words, I don't want you to give it. No, but no, I know, but but whatever information you have, just do it, but just do it Friday. What I'm saying is, don't give us something tonight and then you're gonna do tweaks and it becomes stale. That's all.
Well,
No, I'm not doing anything. All I'm doing tonight is giving you this.
Right,
So
you're
you
giving
have-
me something that you're saying you're gonna go do other stuff and then it's gonna
I'm
be
gonna
stale.
get I have a list of questions that I'm gonna pursue. You guys are gonna talk to the APC. Rich, you're gonna talk to, who are you gonna talk to? You're gonna talk to somebody.
Court clerk, I don't even know who I'm talking to.
Part-time.
Yeah.
salary.
Dave O'Fannell, so you'll take care of that. A couple of Parks and Rec
And then we're
questions.
gonna run the numbers with regard to raises, 5% versus 4% versus 2.5%.
Yeah,
Well, I
what do you put that in? What do we have? What do you have?
The 4% was brought it down to under 4%.
No, not in the
Yeah,
3%. It's away like 18,000 and change.
but
4 something percent.
it was under 5.
It was the
What's
30 for
the
that other. position.
benchmark that we, for like 1% equals X dollars?
It's about 60 grand,
It's still 60 these days.
something like that.
So what I
All right,
what I could even,
so if it.
Historically, it was.
1,000, then you're losing a
Quarter
quarter
percent,
of
yeah.
percent.
I could go as far as creating two versions of this. One reflecting like a 3%. And this one reflecting 5%. And send both.
Why
those
not
versions
just,
If you want to do a comparison.
just take, if you're gonna do more stuff, I would say just give it by the end of the week, wherever you're at. Wherever gives everybody a chance to do what they need to do. So as long
I'll
as you have
take
it.
it either way, you guys decide.
Yeah, I'll get it to you guys will get the latest and greatest. But if you have any other thoughts based on, even on the tentative, I mean, we shaved off what, 1%, a little more than 1%. So you still have the numbers in the tentative. That's enough for you to go with in terms of if you want to make any additional adjustments.
But also the tentative is not reflecting what the actual are. I mean, everything we have in this is not
Yeah, and
actual
unfortunately,
numbers.
This is the spreadsheet I was given that I'm working with. I stepped into this.
No, I understand that, but this document is worthless
This-
because this doesn't reflect the actual numbers of anything. Pretty much.
Right, so
Well-
you have to go with the fact that the numbers that are the final are based on the 5%. Forget about the actuals.
You mean
It's
the raises?
5%. The raises.
I get it,
That's it.
I'm
Yeah.
not worried about that.
You don't need to go back to the actuals.
You
just
You
need to know that
can
it's-
use this in Excel form the next time.
I could,
There's
I
a
could.
PDF, and the
I
PDF
know,
isn't even
that's-
searchable.
Yeah.
So, if you do that, I mean, you could add a column, or we can add a column and back out the 5% and see what the actuals are if we want, so.
Well, the other
Whatever.
thing is
That-
this copy is cut off.
Yeah,
on
that,
the
this
actual.
spreadsheet does not support what you looking to do. I had to create something different.
Okay,
because it's not-
Well,
a spreadsheet
It
would be
would-
helpful.
I
for
could
us.
still,
You-
if you
you-
take
you
the
could s-
final.
You would, yeah, you would need the actuals and, yeah.
No, it would say, if you're telling us you're adding 4%, then we can back 4% out of wherever it lands,
Mhm, mhm.
if we want, anyway.
Whatever's your last adopted. But I hear what you're saying, meaning we don't pass because we can't reach a consensus. I mean, I guess that's possible. I've never seen this town board or any other do that. I mean, generally,
You
I mean,
mean,
we did it 1 year.
you mean, what's the
what
austerity?
year? We never passed?
That was that was before your time. No, it wasn't.
I
Wait,
doubt it. What was that?
It was Ed Bronconi.
Ed Bronconi. I was gonna say that was Ed Bronconi.
First
But
plan.
wasn't that kind of like intentional? Like,
Well, yeah, there was a
On
lot
his
of,
part,
lot of
yeah.
acting going on.
yeah. Okay, so I stand corrected. It did
Just
not.
say it
That was like
happened once.
2009.
We don't want to do any act.
So yes, that is a concern, Andrea, but you also could, just throwing out one more suggestion, because I'm hearing a few things that everyone's kind of comfortable with. So you also could agree that the preliminary budget is this with, I don't want to add more time onto this, but you could say it's this,
The tentative,
it's the tentative.
Right.
With the following changes. I know you don't have it in front of you, but you've talked about it, with taking out that 30,000 position, changing the raises to 4%.
so highlighting the, like the cover
Well,
letter.
you could just talk about it right now.
Oh, okay.
Whatever you're comfortable with, if there are changes that would make you comfortable enough to adopt at the preliminary or do it the way that you're doing, because there seem to be a lot of things that I was hearing consensus on, or at least.
Yeah, because this document, then you can just put that out to the public and it's not gonna be the document that they're actually gonna be talking about, because it's still changes to be made.
It never is,
It never is. Yeah, I would agree with that.
so.
The document that is put out for the preliminary hearing is rarely, for the public hearing is rarely what you ultimately end up adopting.
No, I understand that, but it should be the last word we have up to that point, before that point in time.
Well, it is. It will be whatever is posted. So the preliminary, if I give it to Janet tomorrow, it gets posted on the website. We could wait till next week, I guess, right? If we think we're gonna have any tweets on Monday. Oh, no, because it gets adopted tonight as a preliminary, so we can't post it as a, So, yeah.
Because, at that point, after we see everything in writing and have a chance to compare, I'd be more open to the idea of voting for it as a preliminary budget with certain exceptions like
Mhm.
raises not to exceed, not to exceed 4% or 3.5% or something like that, not 5%. Something along those lines, a little more flexible so that when we get to the public hearing, we can nail it down.
So what, would you feel comfortable if we, in discussing the changes that we've made, not to exceed 4% for the raises, to not have that $30,000 position to,
Please.
yeah, to make the things that we've agreed on tonight, as a part of the preliminary budget.
Right.
Could
Can't
we
do that
do
not to exceed thing, though. You have to.
Yeah, it has to be a
You have
number.
to have real numbers.
But
Okay.
putting in, say, a number,
If
you
we
put in
say,
your not to exceed number, and then you can always go under it. So it
Exactly.
is effectively.
so
not
we
to
could
exceed number.
do 4% right
Well,
now.
I'm kind of iffy about that, but
You
yeah,
know-
I'm saying next Monday, I think, after I see it all. I just need to see it and absorb it and.
Okay, so what's set the hearing for fifth, and then we'll do it wherever
Right.
we'll be on Monday, so we'll have a chance, yeah.
Does that work, Janet, as far as the framework of the timing? If we wait until
I have
next
to
week?
get these notices in by midnight. Otherwise, you're not gonna have enough time to know.
So you have to email.
She's letting me, she's
Yeah.
doing me a huge favor by letting me do it.
Right.
So now I'll have to notice a town board meeting and hearing on 11/28 as well, correct? Is that gonna be a work
That's-
session to further discuss this?
If that's what the board would like. Is that what you guys want?
That's what I want. I don't know what it is.
But the notice that you're putting in is just for the meeting, or it also has to post the preliminary?
I'm posting a notice for the budget hearing, which is on December 5th.
Yes,
And
And all that is with those 4 salaries that we talked about
Okay.
earlier.
we,
So we don't have to have the preliminary budget approved before you post that hearing.
Correct.
Correct. She can post for the public hearing for December 5th.
Bless
But you should be adopted on a preliminary budget. I mean, listen, technically, she's setting a public hearing on what is supposed to be the preliminary
Right.
budget that you've adopted, right? So you haven't adopted it yet. Can you do what you're doing? Yes. You could technically, as I said, adopt it moments before you open your, but you don't want to do
We
that.
don't
So,
wanna do
so,
that.
so if what you're saying is, can we work on it more next Monday and then decide on what that preliminary budget looks like? And that's the one that's for the hearing? Yes, you can do that. It's,
that's fine with me. I think that's good, we'll be closer to where we are, and actually it'll help. It increases our chance that we can adopt on the fifth and not, and yeah, that's just what we're gonna try and target.
no, you're not gonna adopt your budget on the 5th. I would doubt you would do that.
That's the public, yeah.
That's just your public
That's a
hearing. You
public-
don't, you have to adopt by December
We
20th.
can't, I mean, we've done that.
But you
We did
can,
last year.
you can.
Right?
I just
No, I don't think so.
typically boards don't
We
because you
have
wanna
done
take.
it.
I think that's what we did last year after the public hearing.
Adopted on the same night.
Yeah, we
Well,
went
that-
late into the night, and that's why we adopted it.
Adopted on the same night.
You absolutely
Right.
can. Yeah, you can.
Yeah, boy, some of
Certainly
us
can.
need
Then it's
some
going to
rest.
have another meeting because your
Right.
last meeting. Right.
Is December 5th, right?
So then I have to. notice the meeting.
So, all right, so we're in agreement that we're doing a meeting next week, the 28th.
I move,
Actually, I was planning on the exec session for the
Oh.
interviews.
Anyway,
Yeah, right.
right?
So we can do
I was
that.
like, there's
So all mine.
somebody else.
Parts of
I
it.
was
So do we make a motion then?
I'm sitting here.
So do we-
Don't you
we
need a
want-
motion for
I need
it?
to know.
Yeah,
So,
you need to
yes.
make a motion to set your public hearing
Yeah.
and to schedule
Oh,
another
yeah.
work session.
Right, but not just me.
Motion to set public hearing for the budget December 5.
December 5th, yes.
Second,
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Do we want to have the follow-up meeting after that on the 19th, which is 2 weeks later,
Wait,
December?
so,
Oh, sorry,
what about?
we need to notice for the,
that, we don't have, yeah, so we're having them, yeah, because you have to, right.
Yeah.
So the 28th we have.
Okay, so can I have a motion for that in a second?
I move that we have a town board working session on November
Do we have to
28th
motion for that?
for the
Set up a
purpose.
meeting? No, I didn't think so.
Because she's gonna
I
notice
have
it.
to
You should-
notice it.
You should set the
She,
motion.
Oh, okay,
I-
got it, okay.
for a working session for adopting a preliminary budget for the town of Lewisboro for the fiscal year.
I'm just noticing.
Yeah.
Noticing a meeting, yeah.
But like, we were gonna have an executive meeting on Monday and we didn't have a notice. You just called us up and said, hey, you were gonna.
No,
notice
that-
it.
that-
You have to notice it, but we don't normally do resolution for
We
that.
had that problem in Harrison the other day, and everybody showed up, and then everybody said, we need to go.
Motion for a meeting on the 28th, second.
So
All in
I
favor,
move for
Aye.
the, and I,
It's meeting on the 20th.
Right, that's
Yeah, is that,
7:30.
uh,
So
6:45 for
Well,
the.
I think we should be exec session. before.
Yeah, so the executive session will be at 6:45.
Because that's what people want to bring in.
But yeah, your meeting would still be 7:30 for your notice.
And
So
the-
you're
You
not-
can interview in 45 minutes.
No, we're gonna need more time for two people. So can we do,
I've,
I mean, we can we do 6?
here, let me just look, hold on.
6:45 I can do.
Get to 6:30?
No. Same time you're talking about for this one. I can do
Well,
6:45.
there's nothing stopping us from starting. If we're noticing a new meeting, we could start the other meeting at 8 o'clock.
We could, we
There's
could start,
no law
yeah,
against
that's a good
that.
point, so,
Yeah, if we go over a little bit.
It's a work session.
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, so work session starting at 8. And we can do our exec session at 6:30?
Okay,
No, 45.
6:45.
I'm sorry, 6:45.
6:45.
No, I don't want to add tight. It's rush hour. I don't want to leave, I don't want to get stuck in traffic. I want to hold everybody up.
It's a different excuse than
Oh,
today's
yeah.
excuse.
I gotta wait.
No, I interviewed. That wasn't my excuse. That was the fact that I interviewed. today.
So
So you want to start at 6:30? Go ahead. I'll be fashionably late. Go ahead.
Exec session at 6:45 on November 28th. And town board
Business-
meeting, town board work session
Sawmill backs up at 6.
at 8 p.m.
But
maybe even a little early.
Well, no, if you notice it at 8 p.m., it can't be early.
So we're gonna produce this document. There's different types of noises around the road number. Understanding, but nobody volunteering like. Move forward on it. I think if it's going to. Be a thing, and it's fairly significant, it's better if we get this document rather than we wait,
The additional road budget.
We still need to know. We've got to check the funds.
But the
Well, that
the
has to-
roads,
that
the
has something to
roads,
do with the
we
roads.
know, the roads, we know we're short $300,000-400,000, and whatever we can do to chip that away, I think we need to do that. Because we're falling behind every year. For me, it's always been brutal economics.
Yeah, but that
That's a
doesn't help
throwback.
with,
I thought we were very.
You sure?
Spark the
You
cold.
sure? Okay,
Making pink and blue.
yeah,
That's from first fuel.
Yes.
yeah. So I'm asking,
yeah, sorry. I mean,
I'm asking if we can come up with a number now so that it can go in this document. Good. Very painful.
come up with a number now?
Yeah. I mean, otherwise, Rich doesn't want, unless you want to propose something and, in
Why don't-
this document and
Why don't we,
then it'll be whatever you propose. But this is an opportunity.
150,000.
I have to tell you, this is, goes back to this whole, proposal that I said that we needed to just sit down and decide what we're gonna do with these ARPA funds. We've got emails about the town workers who feel that they should have access to that money. We talked about roads, we talked about projects in the town parks, we've talked about all sorts of things. And just because there is a project that exists, roads, for instance, if we wanted to dedicate money to that, and we say, okay, for argument's sake, we want to allocate 300,000 to roads, this in this budget. We could potentially take part of that money from ARPA funds and bond the rest. We could take, there's lots of options.
That's
but we haven't.
doing the same thing that we've done year after year. That does not restore the actual amounts you're, like you were just borrowing. This is what happened in the past. We said, we put it off, and oh, we got a bond, that you're just pushing those costs into the future. The same thing actually with the ARPA funds. It's a one-off thing, which leaves the hole. You have to actually restore the line item to what it's supposed to be if you're gonna, have a functional.
So my
But
feeling
what I'm
about-
saying is that even if we do it little by little to get back to that number,
Well,
I said
Rich
bonding as
proposed
an
to-
example, or I said you put part of it in the budget, but you use part of the funds and then
next year you increase it a little more, and a year after that, instead of, ripping off the Band-Aid with this amount of money is more painful than I'd like to imagine. But
So
I could
would agree with
compromise.
you.
And Rich proposed 150, so if we did that and we threw in another 100 from surplus. Understanding it's from surplus,
From general fund.
yeah, in other words, we're not gonna put in this, well, it's gonna be a negative. On the surplus, I don't know how to represent it in your budget, but.
When you say surplus, you're talking about surplus from
So
2022,
the
for
town,
example?
no, the
budget
town,
surplus?
the
General
yeah,
fund.
The
general
one,
fund.
the one,
General
the-
fund, okay.
Yeah, so in
Yeah.
other words,
we're
we're
talking about the one
we're
fifteen that
we're
was going
going
to.
negative a little bit, but we're at least doing the work.
Or instead of going into surplus, you could use a portion of the ARPA fund. Keep one.
So my
section on ARPA fund.
my feeling on the ARPA
Doesn't
fund
make any difference. It's the
is
same
that
thing.
you're getting, so I like to get the biggest bang for the buck with the ARPA funds
Yeah.
and something that's going to benefit our residents, right?
Something
What
that you
benefits-
wouldn't have done otherwise.
Correct, so
Which
the
I don't have a
bathhouse at the
problem with.
pool, which could help drive more revenue, the pickleball course, the platform.
Yeah, but we
tennis,
should still
these are
know, but-
things that,
But I
that,
don't-
yeah.
saying, unless we sit down and we have our wish list of things, then more ideas are gonna come up, more emails are gonna come in. We need to put it on, we need to actually
Yeah.
discuss it instead of just saying.
So facilities, I know, I've been saying all along since day one.
No, but it's
Facilities,
still, it's start, no, but
Not
start,
paving roads.
no, but it's start, Tony, the first part is saying, here's the amount of money, we have, and let's talk about a plan about how to spend it. That's where we start.
Yeah.
We don't start by saying facilities, and then we figure out how much money. We start, here's the amount of money we have, and here are ideas as to how, competing ideas
Part
to
of
spend.
the Discussion capital plan, like what are these different projects we want to do?
Right.
What benefits do they have, but
We still sit down by saying, here's how much money we have, and here's.
I'm suggesting that the roads thing doesn't want to be a part of that, doesn't need to be, this is just.
Part of our funds.
This is the right.
Does it need to be part, I agree, I
That's
agree.
make that a separate exercise. And this is to say, throw 150,000 in there. In this budget out of like as an adder. And then anticipate, I guess what it is, it amounts to a line item transfer
Mhm.
from, or not a line item transfer, it's a transfer from surplus.
Mhm.
And that, I'm not sure how that gets represented in this, you're gonna figure that out, I don't know. But, so in other words.
Where transfer from a surplus is, becomes another,
Yeah, it goes in here
it goes in here as a revenue line. if you will.
as a revenue.
Yeah, that's,
it.
yeah, and that's how you reduce
Mhm.
tax rate.
Yeah, or it can go in the restoration of.
Correct.
Surplus as a negative.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
So,
So in other
Okay, we
words.
can discuss this next Monday, right?
yeah.
So
We have one item on
I'm
the
just saying,
exec
once they go
session.
in there.
we have to do the
What do we got?
approvals of the claims,
Yes.
the polling of the board.
Somebody give me the total amount. Since I didn't get the audit.
Oh, the total, you didn't get the audit?
No. Or you can just forward it to me. I'll fill it in.
Yeah, I'll forward it to you, yeah. Sorry.
Total amount of what?
The audit.
I got, normally, yeah, we did it a little different this time, but I should have included you, Janet,
That's okay.
and I forwarded it to the board. Okay, so motion to approve claims, I motion that we approve claims,
Second.
discussion, all in favor,
Aye.
polling of the board. We'll start with, Mary.
Vista Fire Department is having a Toys for Tots collection, it's Friday or Saturday, December 3rd from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Check their website for needed toys. Candy cane run will be on December 10th from 9 a.m. to noon. There's more information on the website. Tuesday, December 6th, the Parks and Rec Department is having its holiday celebration of the tree lighting to celebrate Christmas and a menorah at the town
Town Park.
Town Park, and that's Tuesday, December 6th at 6:30. thank you to everyone who donated to the coat drive and the food donation for the community center of Northern Westchester. We donated 165 pounds worth of clothes and 281.6 pounds of food for the community center of Northern Westchester Parks and Recs Department, and we thank you. The library is having the nightclub at the library again, December 2nd at 8 p.m. Steve Shapiro, Dave Anderson, and Tiger McNeil are going to be playing jazz, and an opening act will be the Troublemakers from John Jay High School. That's December 2nd at 8 p.m. There are a few tickets left. Check the library website out. The library also has a workshop on November 29th, earring making workshop, November 29th. For the open space, the Purple Trail Bridge at the
For the-
Leon
PLA,
Levy
Leon
Reserve
Levy, yeah.
has been completed, and we thank the volunteers for that, as well as the clearing of the paths due to the recent storm. And November 20th was Transgender Day of Remembrance. There were 33 transgender people who were murdered last year, and that does not count the 5 people murdered in Colorado. And I just want to take a moment of extending my condolences to those who have suffered a loss due to their gender, and also speak out against any anti-Semitic violence that has been on the uptake as well. And happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks, Mary. Go ahead, Rich.
Grateful to live in Lewisboro.
Thanks, Sonia. I attended the Tona Lewisboro Board of Education meeting on the 17th and spoke. I hope that our Board of Education will reconsider its decision with regard to Coach Bill. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Please be safe.
Andrea.
Yes, on Sunday, I attended the first Eagle Scout ceremony for the 2 first young ladies in the town of Lewisboro to make the rank of Eagle Scouts. So I shout out to Kira McRory and Samantha Donnelly for a job well done. The event was incredibly well attended, probably one of the best Eagle Scout ceremonies that I have been to. So well organized. Really the troop themselves, you can see and feel the bond between all of them. And these 2 young ladies who became the first Eagle Scouts in town are clearly a very strong example to the rest of their troop, to the rest of the young women in town, and they will truly be leaders. So congratulations again. Tony was there, he presented again the proclamations to them. So congratulations, girls. Also, I'd like to voice my support for Bill Schwartzfager and his family following the very disappointing decision of the John Jay School Board to not reappoint him as a coach in our district. Thankfully, many of our children in town have benefited from having Coach Bill in their lives, but sadly, many will not have that same opportunity unless something changes. It is a huge loss for our young athletes. So my heart goes out to them. And on another note, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Travel safely, be careful of the weather, and enjoy each other.
Yeah.
Nothing special here, but thanks to Mary for mentioning Colorado Springs and the anti-Semitic uptick. And I'm just glad for the fact that we've started some work here and there's a lot more work to be done. But happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yeah, so I had a couple of things that Mary already covered, so this will make my polling easier. And Andrea, that was a great ceremony. It's the second, though, the second.
It is.
Yeah, we had another girl that had received, so they were.
Young
Different
ladies.
troop or same troop?
Same troop.
Different, is it the
No,
same?
same troop, 3-1, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so that was a great event, and
They're
happy
both
Thanksgiving.
16 years old too.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes, they are. But again, the clothes, the food and coat drive was tremendous, 165 pounds. So anyone else that wants to contribute, you can go directly to the Northern Westchester Community Center and drop off any coats and additional food items. They are looking for coats specifically for the winter. Happy Thanksgiving and thank you everyone for staying up with us this late.
And we announcement, you already said the
Yeah,
meeting
we
for
have to-
November 20.
Yeah, so it's gonna differ from what's on the agenda. So obviously it's gonna be November 28th at 8 p.m. here at the townhouse. That is the next town board meeting, which will be a work session for the budget.
Motion to go into a very pithy executive session.
A second
For,
to discuss personnel. Do I have a second?
Yeah.
Discussion? All in favor?
all right.
Okay, good night, everyone. Thank you.